Hello and welcome to Recently Watched, the show where two jackasses talk about movies and TV shows they recently watched. My name is Justin Ashley, and joining me is my co-host, the only Canadian to vote for Donald Trump, Kevin Lackner.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that. But,
yeah, I'm not sure how you pulled that off, but that's what you told me. You told me after when he won, you were like, I voted for him.
Yeah. Oh, I was in the Capitol.
You're like, it's not just the states he's going to make better. He's going to make Canada great too.
Why do you do this to me?
Because it's funny. Because content.
Yeah. Okay.
It has been a minute. We did not film in December. We skipped December.
Did we? Oh yeah.
I don't think we filmed jack shit. I was busy with that fucking nightmare. If you have not watched, Mark and myself now have a new show on the Two Name Media Network called Slash Cinema, where we watch and rank every entry of a horror franchise.
That was a really good video, actually. Yeah, I watched that the other night.
Yeah, we haven't talked.
As someone who doesn't give a shit about Nightmare on Elm Street,
or like most horror franchises, you would say.
I'm still intrigued by them, and like it's a perfect thing if you even don't know anything about them, because you're like, oh, like I didn't know about 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. So watching someone who actually like loves that series, like rank them, and then how different your guys' lists were was interesting.
Well, we're basically doing all the work for you, right? Like, you don't need to sit down and watch these.
I don't think I'd necessarily sit down and spend like fucking 10 hours watching all of them, but like to have someone be like, okay, here's the deal with like this series,
right?
Is like actually,
and Mark and I are different enough in our opinions that it's not just an echo chamber, like there's been a lot of picks where we heavily debated on them.
That's part of the fun.
The show gets hot.
That's part of the fun where you're like, okay, this is number 7, and like Mark will be like, what?
I have it at 3. Yeah. So check that out. We've done 2 episodes to date. We did the first episode, the inaugural episode, which was ironically a guest episode. Remember, because that was actually a recently watched.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he was filling in for you, I think in October and November. It was the fill-in episode that you weren't
like
free.
A Halloween
I think it was
thing.
October. Yeah, it was the Halloween episode. So originally was a fill-in for this show. Now is its own show.
Yeah.
And the inaugural episode we did Friday the 13th, and the second episode is Nightmare on Elm Street, which I am a huge fan of. That's my favorite horror franchise of all time.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what do you like better, like Friday?
I think I just answered that.
Yeah. Okay. Is that your favorite though? Is Nightmare?
I'm not saying favorite film. Favorite franchise is Nightmare. Yeah.
Really?
Of all time. Yeah. Of franchises, horror franchises.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Nightmare on Elm Street.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freddy Krueger is my guy.
Yeah.
I love those films. And we are now working on our third episode, which is going to be Halloween. So that's going to be exciting. Did you know there's 13 entries in the Halloween franchise?
Fuck.
Yeah, fuck is right, Kevin. Fuck is right.
And like 2 good ones?
You have to listen to the podcast to find out. But enough of that shit. You don't want to hear about another podcast. You came here to listen to us talk about and review random fucking
stuff
shit
we recently watched.
Yeah, stuff we recently watched.
Recently watched.
We should see how many times we can shoehorn in that.
What did you recently watch?
Well,
Justin?
I recently watched. This is all completely random, to be clear. I
have no idea what is on your list of things. You don't know what I've watched, so
I don't want to know. I'm hoping it just stays on. I'm hoping the camera never cuts to this side. I just wanted someone to talk at for 2 hours.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's it. Why don't I go first? Because I tend to have a few more picks. This is, again, completely random. We could be talking about newer movies, could be talking about new releases, could be talking about shit from the 60s, 70s, 50s, you name it. So don't expect this to be the topical review podcast.
I watched a train coming at me, and I thought it was going to come out of the screen, and I ran away.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
I was hoping you were going to say I was watching a train come at me, and I thought about standing on the tracks and not moving, but then I pussed out. That's what I was hoping you were going with on that one. Yeah. Then maybe this podcast could get a decent co-host.
All right, start us off.
All right, here we go. My first pick I got here is Sleepy Hollow from 1999.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
have you seen this?
I have.
You must have seen this.
I've seen it like over the years. It's like a Tim Burton 90s. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't say classic. Or would it be a cult classic? I don't know.
So it's definitely like Tim Burton's an interesting character. I know where you stand on Burton. You don't really like Burton.
I like early Burton, like most people.
Okay, yeah.
I think like he's fantastic throughout like the mid to late 80s into the like mid 90s, and I think this might be the tipping point.
I think this is where this is one of the in my opinion, this is one of the last really good Tim Burton movies.
Really good.
Is this one. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen it in a very long time. I remember enjoying it when I watched it. It was probably like fucking 10 years ago.
Right.
But yeah.
It's so basic plot. It is the story of the Headless Horseman, aka like the Ichabod Crane shit. I don't think this had anything to do with Disney. I think this was produced by some other company altogether. It doesn't exactly follow. Like, have you ever seen that like Ichabod Crane like animated Disney thing?
Maybe when I was a kid. I was actually going to ask you: is the tale of Sleepy Hollow? Is this like an old fable or like? Is this like a Disney product?
I genuinely can't answer that. I actually don't know. I was hoping you might know that.
No, I actually don't know either.
I know that the original Ichabod Crane. Let's look that up. Like, when did that come out? Because it's like I think it's from like the 60s.
I think so.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like Mr. So-and-so, the Headless Horseman, and Ichabod Crane. It's like Mr. Toad and Ichabod Crane or some shit.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong about that?
Yeah. Yeah, because there is a Disney version of this, but then at the same time, this could just be like an ancient fable or legend or something like that. I don't actually know what the basis is.
Yeah, here it is. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr.
49?
Toad. 1949. Holy shit. This is like super. I've seen this once. Like I know that Disney Channel used to have this shit on.
So this is two. It says an adaptation of The Wind in the Willows and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
There you go. So Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So
Bing
that
Crosby
kind of answers your question, I guess.
So it's a very old tale.
It's a very old tale, but I don't know if Disney invented it. I'm going to say no. I don't think they did. It's probably
not.
Some
It's
old
like
fable.
Pinocchio is ancient. They didn't invent the story
it's
of
probably
Pinocchio.
just they gave it like a cool animated thing. But
yeah.
Have you seen this? Like this original cartoon?
It
was on. Remember the Disney Disney would do like the movies on Fridays. And
I'm
Saturdays
sure
and
I've
shit.
seen it, but I have no recollection of it. I was probably a child.
I'm certain I've seen this a couple times, but I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing like all the way through. I think I've only seen clips. So, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Sleepy Hollow, which is its own thing, anyways. Sleepy Hollow is not for children. It is not family friendly. It is R-rated.
That's right. It's
it's
hard R.
Not hard, but hard enough. It's got a good amount of gore in it. It's got some fucked up shit.
Is this his like goriest film from that era? Would you say?
Might be his goriest film ever.
Yeah, it might be.
I mean, like honestly, what did he do? Like Batman's
it's like PG-13.
Yeah, and same with Batman Returns.
That's interesting. Is this maybe his first like rated R?
He did Mars Attacks, but even that I don't think is R-rated.
Ed Wood is probably rated R because of the drug.
Oh, right. But
that's like heroin.
Yeah, but there's not like, decapitations and shit like that. It's not as gory. But okay, so Sleepy Hollow, basic premise is Johnny Depp stars as the titular Ichabod Crane. I believe it's Ichabod Crane. He is like a constable in New York. And he gets sent because of a series of grisly murders that take place in the hamlet of Sleepy Hollow. He gets sent out to investigate. So he's basically like acting as the law. Okay. I'm pretty certain that's completely unique to this. Like, I don't think in the original he was a cop or anything. I think he was like a town coward in the original.
Yeah.
Like, so that whole angle of like him as like the authority and the detective is new to this adaptation, I believe.
Yeah, I think all they're using is just the idea of the mysterious headless horseman. I think, the concept
I think
of
everything else is just made
an
up.
investigation, and then he's like a constable, and like a murder mystery is like made up, I think.
So he comes to the small hamlet of Sleepy Hollow, and Sleepy Hollow is like, it just looks like a fairy tale town. Like, it just looks like it's
just a Burton.
It just looks like something out of like, what you would imagine where Hansel and Gretel lived. Like, it just looks like a village outside of time almost, know? It's this like, I believe this movie takes place during like Victoria era. Like, I think it's like Victoria era, Victorian. What is that, 1800s?
Probably like the 1880s or something.
Yeah, I believe it's like
1890s.
because he comes from, because in the beginning, in the ending, you see him like in like pre-industrial like New York. So it's civilization.
Yeah.
This isn't like 1600s or some shit. It's like there is some technology. They have weapons. They have guns in this.
Yeah,
because they use muskets and shit in the movie. So it's like Victorian era and the town, but it's got this fantastic aesthetic to it that it just looks like it's came right out of a storybook, you know. And he travels to this town, this mysterious town, and he starts meeting these really eccentric characters, and he's slowly trying to figure out the dynamics of the town. Some people are welcoming, some people not so much.
Because he's an outsider, right?
Right.
So,
and some people don't want him around. Some people are jealous of him, you know, because he's like somebody that's, I guess, considered like more valuable in society, in the sense like he works for, you know, an extension of the government.
Yeah.
Right. And he slowly uncovers the mystery of the headless horseman that is going around murdering everybody.
So he has to show up because there's murders happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's investigating
what does the
murders.
town think of the murders? Do they think it's supernatural or something, or do they think
Some think it's supernatural, some don't.
Okay.
It's very like split. Ichabod is, his mannerisms are very much like the original cartoon, in that he's a bit of a coward, he's a bit of a klutz, but he is very smart. He's very smart and cunning, but he's just kind of like a meek, like, like he kind of has like, you know, he's
a coward.
Yeah,
basically.
he's cowardly in a sense. He's nowhere near as bad as he was in the original cartoon, but he's just got more of a soft nature to him, I guess is the way to put it.
No, there's a love interest, right, in this movie?
Yes.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yes, there is a love interest. Love interest is played by Christina Ricci.
Oh, nice.
Christina Ricci, who would have been blowing up at this point. I think this is like peak of her career. Because I mean, like,
probably.
Well, this is post Addams Family. Because that was the thing that put her on the map.
Is this after? Yeah.
And Casper. This would have been like post Casper, The Friend That Goes.
Well, no. What year is this? 99.
99. Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure Casper's like 98.
Yeah.
I think.
I always think of this movie as like 96 or 5. Like
no,
5 or
it's
6,
like right
it's
near
like,
the beginning of 2000s. Yeah, 99.
Okay.
I mean, the basic plot is he's just trying to solve the mystery of like, okay, is the Headless Horseman real? Who is carrying out these murders? What the fuck's going on in this town? And through that, he uncovers supernatural elements. He uncovers like conspiracies within the town of like some of the townsfolk.
I do remember there's a conspiracy, there is like the supernatural, or there is a Headless
multiple
Horseman.
conspiracies.
Yeah.
There's a few different little things going on.
I remember vividly the image of Christopher Walken as like the.
So then the biggest revelation is there actually is a Headless Horseman. And so in case you're wondering, like, well, was it supernatural? That's not ambiguous at all. No, there's a witch in this movie. It's 100%. There's a Headless Horseman going around and fucking people up and killing people. Why is he killing people? That's the real mystery. So you learn very early on, oh no, there's actual supernatural shit, much to Ichabod's surprise, because he's like a skeptic, and then he's suddenly like, oh my God, okay, this is real, but I'm going to take it seriously. And then it's what is the motivation? Like, why is he? So Ichabod tries to save the town, essentially.
Okay.
Things that I like. The cast is fucking incredible in this. Oh, in case you're wondering, like, had I seen this before? I have seen this before. This was on my rewatch list.
Oh, nice.
So this was on my, does it go in my collection?
I figured you'd probably watch it, because I watched
saw it when
it back
came
in the
out.
day.
I saw it when it came out. I remember thinking it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I remember having a good time.
These types of movies where it's not like immediately like, oh, this is like amazing. This is like,
right.
But like, on rewatch, sometimes you're like, oh, there's actually more here than I remember. And like,
yeah. So I'm going to get into that a bit. The cast, we've got Johnny Depp, who is perfect as Ichabod Crane. He absolutely nails it. He's very fun to watch. You want to root for him. He's likable, but he still has that like trademark Depp like quirkiness to him.
Yeah.
But it works really well in this because that's what the character calls for. So it's not just him being obnoxious. Like, he doesn't do it. It's not over the top.
Yeah.
It doesn't overstay its welcome, you know?
He's generally good. Like, I mean, he works really well with Burton, obviously. So he generally slides into whatever quirky character that Burton's come up with.
Right.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci is good. She, if not a little plain. They don't really give her a ton of depth, but she's fine. She's totally serviceable. Fucking Jeffrey Jones. I don't know if you'd recognize that name.
It doesn't ring a bell like immediately.
He's a great character actor. He is the father of Lydia in Beetlejuice. That actor.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jeffrey Jones is fucking awesome. Every time he pops up, he's great. I think he's a frequent collaborator with Tim Burton because he's also in Beetlejuice, but I could be wrong. Like, I feel like he's in it, like been in several of his
That would
movies.
be the only thing I recognize him probably.
But Jeffrey Jones is fantastic. Michael Gambon, who is, I believe, Dumbledore, that actor.
Oh, yeah, the second one.
Not the original. The second one. He is great. Ian McDermott.
Okay. Yeah.
Fucking Sidious.
Yeah.
He is fantastic. Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Now, in all fairness, it's like Christopher Walken's in it. Is he really in it? Not really. He's in it for like 5 minutes at the end. He's not going to be monologuing a whole lot. I don't think he did any, like, in case you're wondering, like, well, is that Christopher Walken walking around as the Headless Horseman? I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure that was just a stunt guy. So I think he's only in that end sequence where you actually get... The revelation is that Christopher Walken, once the Headless Horseman gets his head and it forms on his body, the actual human actor who portrays him is Christopher Walken. Yeah. It's very demonic Walken, yeah.
Why would they need Christopher Walken for that role?
That's the thing that I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he wanted to be in it. Maybe Tim Burton was a huge Walken fan. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he does a great job. That's the thing. Like,
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he's very creepy.
That's a weird role, though, where you're like, you basically have no script.
Yeah.
You're probably just like riding around on a horse, which...
I don't think he even has any dialogue.
Unless you, like, it's not like I can't imagine Christopher Walken is like an avid horse rider, so it's probably a stunt double.
I'm certain. Okay, again,
you know what I mean?
None of those shots of the Headless Horseman are him. But
I don't think they cast him because of his like cavalry skills or anything. So it's just like, okay, Christopher, we want you in this movie. You're gonna basically have your face show up at the end as like the bad guy, but like maybe it's just like a friendly thing. Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm friends with Burton. So
I don't know. Yeah, I probably could have read up on that to find out why, but
whatever.
This show is until we get producers, we will be poorly researched. We will be researching shit as we're saying it. We don't even know if half of what we're saying is true.
I don't even know what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, somebody wrote this for me. Okay. Michael Gough is in it. Do you recognize that name?
No.
It's Alfred in the Batman movies.
Oh, okay.
That actor? Yeah. One of the only actors that was in all four.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's a good actor. He's a good actor. Good,
you said there was a witch.
Actor.
Who plays the witch?
I can't remember. Actually, no. I think it might have been Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, really?
So never mind. I think I can remember. I think... let me double check that. I don't want to just give her... I am certain it was Helena Bonham Carter. That seems like something she would do. There. I think it was
Christopher Lee?
Yes, Christopher Lee's in this. Yeah. The cast is incredible. Damn. It's an incredible cast. The cast is like this,
just stacked with old dudes.
Old actors. Yeah, all old talented actors. That's exactly what it is. It's all like gentlemanly actors. Like you could see like Peter Toole being in this and all these old school actors, and they're just all so good at their roles. They fit in like to this little hamlet, this little village, and they're all playing their little roles. You know, some of them are like businessmen. One of them's like the town like lender of money. One guy's like Michael Gough is the town. What the fuck do you call it? You know when you have to get something. When you sign something and somebody's got to stamp it to say that it was, what is that fucking called?
I don't know. Registrar?
I think it actually says here on IMDb. Bail me out, IMDb. The notary. He's the town notary.
Okay. Yeah.
So they all have their own little roles in the town, and it's just it's perfect. The cast is so good. Amazing sets. The sets are so good.
Of course.
It just feels like again, this is Burton. This is pre-CGI bullshit Burton.
Yeah.
Because to me, Willy Wonka, I think, was the turning point. Like, I don't know when that one came out, but that was the first time I went, oh, this looks like shit. This doesn't look good.
I think
when it was like heavily
also
CG.
Planet of the Apes was a big dud, but I don't know if that was
It didn't use a ton of CG though, because like all the guys, they still used guys in suits.
Oh yeah.
All the monkeys are like
this
guys in suits.
This is Burton with like he'd have a like.
You're right. That probably came out after this.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is like late 90s Burton with like a huge budget because he'd have built up his name over the decade.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't feel like it has an enormous budget, but it's like a AAA movie, you know? It's not an indie, it's not a big budget, it's like a AAA. Back when they would make films for like 10, 15 million, not 120 fucking million like that they do now. But it has fantastic sets. The Burton aesthetic lends itself so well to this.
Is the score the Tim Burton guy that he always uses?
Danny Elfman?
Elfman?
That's a good question. I feel like I should know that, but again, we don't research things on this show. We have to look it up in the moment. It probably was.
Elfman.
I'm not sure. I don't even know where you find composer on IMDb. Where do they list that?
It should be like on the main page.
Yeah, you'd think, but obviously they don't give a fuck. Like, okay, I go all cast and crew. I now have to hit that because Kevin has to get his.
I gotta know.
I need to know. Yeah.
Who composed the score?
Danny Elfman.
Okay, it is Danny Elfman.
There you go. You happy, fucking jackass?
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Danny Elfman did the score. I remember the score being good. I remember it being solid. I don't remember it being like exceptionally.
It's not like iconic, like Scissorhands or something like that.
No, it's not that good, but it's like good, solid, like ambiance, atmosphere. Which that is what this film nails: is atmosphere. The sets are incredible. The wardrobe is spot on. It is all like practical, hardly anything CGI. And they like built this little town, and they're walking around in this little town. And they go into the different homes, and everything just feels period accurate. Everything just feels. The entire movie has like a dreariness to it. It's always kind of overcast. It's not sunny. You literally feel like you just walked into like an old fable, like a grim fairy tale.
Yeah.
It oozes atmosphere and ambiance. It's really good. The tone is very good. I like the tone, but I think the tone would throw some people off. It is, for the most part, very serious, but there's a lot of elements of comedy in it. Mostly coming from Johnny Depp.
I don't remember that about the movie.
I didn't quite remember what the tone was either, but watching it again, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek things in this, and I think it works really well. I think if they went full serious, it would get a little too boring. Like, I just feel like if it was just like straight serious, I don't think it would be as engaging and interesting.
Yeah.
The tone for me works more where it's a little bit more lighthearted at times, because let's talk about like the subject matter here. We're talking about a ethereal ghost that goes around with no head and chops people's heads off. Like, it's a little over the top in general, so I think you needed to have that little bit of levity to it, a little bit of comedy to it.
And I think it works well with Burton's style. Like, generally his movies have an element of I don't know what the word would be.
Humor.
Yeah, humor, I guess.
Like quirky humor.
Quirky, yeah.
The tone
like
is reminiscent of something like Ed Wood, in that it's like, for the most part, it's serious, but it's got a lot of levity to it.
Well, his movies aren't like,
it's fun.
Aren't like super grim and cruel.
Yeah, well, that's
stuff.
exactly. It's not. You know what it is? It's fun. That's the word I want to use. It's just a fun fucking movie. Like it's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does treat the subject matter seriously. So like, it genuinely is scary at times, or it tries to be.
Yeah, that's a good question then. Like, is it actually scary?
It's definitely horror. It tries to be scary. There's some really violent moments in it. It's R-rated for a reason. I want to talk about the effects for a second. The Headless Horseman looks so fucking good in this. Like, they nailed that effect. And I'm sure that was computer altered, but holy fuck does it look good in this. Like, anytime he's on screen, it's so, like, it looks so good. It's so captivating where
it doesn't look cheesy.
No, it looks so badass. They just nailed it. Like, him with the horse. There's several sequences where you get to see him on the horse, like going, like darting around in the forest.
Yeah.
There's a few chases. It looks so good. All that practical stuff. There's actually, the choreography is surprisingly really good. Oh. There's a few fight scenes in this, like action sequences, and they're really good.
One thing I vividly remember, one thing I do like seem to recall at least is that there's like a giant tree Like a big demonic tree or something?
Yeah, that's the burial. That's the burial place of the Headless Horseman. I believe.
I didn't dream that. There was like a
no,
giant,
it's the portal. That's what he comes out of.
Okay.
He comes out of the tree. Yeah. He jumps. He literally like manifests out of that giant tree.
Is that CGI or is that like all practical?
No, they actually had a tree that would open up and a horse. Yeah, it's fucking CG and numbskull. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Maybe they had a giant.
Did they get a consultant witch for this film? Like, what the fuck?
Is that a real witch?
Yeah. There's some general good scares in it. It's just a fun fucking movie. I had a great time watching it.
Well, explain to me the actual conspiracy then.
No,
what is happening?
It's so convoluted. I don't even remember. It's like
what?
No, it's literally so convoluted.
Really?
Yeah, it's very convoluted.
What's the he shows up to solve the conspiracy of Sleepy Hollow. He discovers that there's a supernatural headless horseman. What are the people doing about it?
So the revelation is that one of the townspeople has the head of the horseman, and if you possess the head, you control the horseman, and they're using the horseman to kill off certain people in the town.
Oh, so by possessing the head, you can send him out to like assassinate people?
Yes. Every kill, he's not just killing people randomly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the twist revelation.
And he's killing people so that like it's a bargain, whereas if he murders people for you, you have to give him the skull back,
something like that. The ending is a little convoluted, but it's not too bad. Yeah,
you're just hand waving the plot. You're like, whatever.
Because because to me it's not. I don't think it's that necessary. It's like I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
It's very convoluted, and you're going to watch it, and then you're going to immediately forget all the details. You're like, oh yeah, who was the bad guy? Like who was the one that actually had the skull? Yeah. You're gonna forget because it's very convoluted and there's a lot of red herrings. There's a ton of like
fake outs and like, oh, actually, it was this.
There's a ton of like times where they make you think it's this person that's doing all this shit, and then that person gets killed. So you're like, oh shit, yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's a lot of that stuff. That's why I'm hand waving the plot because it's very convoluted. Well, but I don't think it doesn't ruin it. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just there's no. Do you want me to sit here for 10 minutes and tell you like, okay, so first they set up Friar Tuck, and then Friar Tuck gets killed, and then Christina Ricci. It's like no, it's like whatever. It's just a town conspiracy. It ends up being someone because that's the head.
Okay, so they get the skull back, and do they give it back to the Headless Horseman, and then he goes away?
And then he turns into no. Then he turns so.
He's like, actually, I'm going to kill more people. Thanks for giving me my head back.
No, it turns out that somebody made basically a deal with the devil, and the deal is that as long as they possess the horseman's head, the horseman will work for them. The horseman gets his head back. The deal is now concluded, so the horseman takes that person to hell.
Okay.
The ending's a little janky. It's a fucking fable.
Let me ask you this. Who cut off the Headless Horseman's head?
I don't know. It's not I don't believe it.
Who cut his head off to start this whole thing?
Where do his powers come from? Like, for fuck's sakes. Sorry, did you write Halloween 5 and 6 where they have to explain
That's a
everything?
basic question. Sorry, there's a demon man with no head. Who cut his head off?
He's just like a vengeful spirit from hell. I don't know. They don't get into that. It's just,
I would have expected it's like
being.
Like Christopher Lee cut his head off 30 years ago, and
I don't know.
He's come back for revenge or something.
No. I think the whole thing is that the spirit or the Headless Horseman was someone that died ages ago, but someone did because there's magic involved.
Okay, so they dug up
his remains and then took his skull, and then again, the ending is very convoluted, but I don't think it ruins anything. I don't think it matters, honestly. It's like Ichabod solves the mystery of who's doing this. He stops that person, then the horseman takes that person to hell. To me, it works. Like, it ties up enough, and then Ichabod moves on.
But what about the sequel?
They thankfully didn't make one because everything didn't need to be a fucking franchise. And you know what's actually funny? It's funny you said. I thought about it at the end where I was like, they could have made something after that. Like, they could have done another mystery because it ends with early in the movie, Ichabod takes like a what's that called when you an apprentice. He takes like an apprentice because it's like the son of one of the people that gets killed by the horseman, and he takes this apprentice begrudgingly. He doesn't want an apprentice, and this like little boy like follows him around for the movie, And they end up form a little bit of a bond. And then Christina Ricci, I believe the movie ends with Christina Ricci, the little boy, and Ichabod going back to New York.
Oh,
so they go back to like, the
live a happy life kind
of
the
new
thing.
world.
Yeah.
But part of me is I always thought like it kind of leaves the door open. Like not kind of, it does leave the door open.
What you're saying is Sleepy Hollow 2,
but
an Ichabod Crane
No,
story.
what I'm saying is it would be better if they just did another Fable. Like Sleepy Hollow's done. They don't need to do the Horseman again. You already did that. But they could do another thing. He could go investigate some other thing, and they actually could do it. Jokes aside, it wouldn't. I don't know. It's not necessary though. It works very self-contained. Now the question: did I put it in my collection? I haven't decided. You haven't decided. I really liked it. It's very fun, and I'm all about fun films that are just like you can infinitely rewatch them. I also want to give a shout out to Casper Van Diem. I don't know how he got in this movie. You know who Casper Van Diem is? That? Starship Troopers. It's the main guy, the pretty blonde guy. Yeah. He's not an amazing actor. He was made for B movies.
Come on, you apes! Do you want to live forever? That guy.
He was. I don't know if he says that in that movie.
I think he says at the very end because he takes up the mantra of his.
Maybe he says that. I don't 100% remember. But Casper,
you can cut that in if you.
I'm not going to. Casper Van Diem. Yes, we get demonetized for one fucking clip that you referenced.
You can put that one.
Yeah. Feel free to edit that in there. Yeah. I don't think I'll be doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can edit this out then.
No, I'm going to keep this so that you just reference something. Well, you never get to see what you reference.
You should edit out me referencing it and just put the clip in.
So, Casper Van Diem is in it, and Casper Van Diem plays like the local, like douchey strongman. He's basically like Gaston for the town.
Yeah, okay.
And he does a good job. He plays that role really well. I got to give him credit.
Nice.
And there's a really, really cool fight scene between Ichabod, the Headless Horseman, and Casper Van Diem's character. It's like a 3-way fight.
Oh, cool.
And the choreography is really good. It's fun. Yeah, again, the action sequences in this are very fun. It's very good.
So it's going on the rewatch.
No, it's going on it's just sitting. I'll make the call. Like I've rewatched it now because for me, I always got to rewatch something. It's got to be watched twice for it to go on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna percolate on it a little bit. It doesn't get an instant like, yeah, I gotta own that. I'm gonna think about it a bit, but I really liked it. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of films like it. That's the other thing. It's like how many? Because the tone is like. Have you ever seen Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters?
Yes, I've seen that.
It's that tone, but way better because everything's practical.
Yeah.
So it's a way better version of that. Or have you ever seen Brothers Grimm like that?
I never saw that. No.
Okay, but it's that kind of like it brings modern action and styling to old world fable.
Yeah.
Like and there's not a ton of that. Like that's kind of a weird genre.
Yeah, when you find a certain niche of like a vibe to a movie,
right.
Sometimes it's really fun to go back to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my first pick. I got Sleepy Hollow. What the fuck do you got there?
Well, I got a couple things.
I don't want. I only want to hear one. To be clear, I know you say you have a couple.
All right. I'm going to start us off with Dream Scenario.
Oh, that Nicolas Cage fucking thing? Oh, you watched it.
I did, yeah. I ended up going to the local indie theater with a group of friends, and they all wanted to see it, so we went and saw.
What's the basic plot?
Do you know anything about this movie?
I've seen the trailer. I saw the trailer. So I read an article about it being like, Nicolas Cage is in a new indie movie where everybody's dreaming about him. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, this could be fun. Yeah. And then I just never got a chance to watch it.
Oh, okay.
I was not going to go pay to see it because I'm like, I don't like Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
I want to put that out there. I don't like Nicolas Cage.
At all. Yeah.
I think there's movies he's in that I like, and I think there's roles he can play that I like, but I don't find him as an actor overall enjoyable.
I would agree with that.
I think he's way overrated. I think he became part of meme culture, and he was so bad and so weird in so many roles that the internet kind of made him famous again, and then he's now almost famous just as Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
I think he can act, but I think so many times the choices he makes are awful.
Yeah.
Like he ruins a lot of movies, in my opinion.
I would honestly agree with that. Yeah. Because like when I think of him, I don't think of a whole lot of roles that are particularly like, I love that like performance. Like he's basically Nicolas Cage.
Right.
Like, yeah. So
Raising Arizona, I'm going to guess, is one of your favorites.
I would say of his movies that I really love, Raising Arizona, Wild at Heart, which is like a Lynch film.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Like I
know,
I haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas. I've heard that's very good, but very depressing. I think that's the one he won like a Academy Award for.
Oh, I didn't know he was an Academy Award winning.
He's an Academy Award winning actor. Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Or are you just pulling that out of your ass?
No, you can look it up.
I will.
Look it up.
I'm going to right now.
I think it was for Leaving Las Vegas. He played a drunk writer or something who goes to basically kill himself in Las Vegas by drinking himself to death.
And the Academy Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role from the 1996 Oscars goes to Nicolas Cage. You are right. I didn't know that.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. I've actually never seen Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It seemed like a erotic thriller, and they made so many of those in the 90s that I hate erotic thrillers.
Yeah.
They're so dime a dozen.
It's listed as a romance/erotic, which is...
Yeah, right. It's probably an erotic thriller. Exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what they made at that time, right?
My understanding, it sounds very depressing to me because it's about like a man choosing basically suicide, which is like... I don't know that I want to watch that. But anyways, I think he had solid performances in like the 80s and 90s, and then he became a deranged, like weird meme of himself throughout the 2000s. And it's basically taken to the last 5 years for him to like come back around where people are like, oh, we love Nicolas Cage.
Well, because he started doing fucking indie movies. He actually started doing films that there was passion and heart by the filmmakers. It wasn't just it wasn't a cheap box office grab. And then he started trying. Like,
did you see Mandy? Did you like Mandy?
No.
You didn't like Mandy?
No.
Okay, I enjoyed Mandy.
But it's very artsy fartsy, so I'm not going to like it.
Okay.
I watched Pig. I didn't like it.
I didn't watch Pig.
But his performance in it's very good. It's very understated. It's muted. Nicolas Cage is great when he's not yelling and like screaming. Like, it's like, did you know Will Ferrell can act? Because occasionally he can. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you very rarely get to see him do that, but like, you watch Stranger Than Fiction, he's great in it. Because he's not, it's so understated.
Well, they become known for being so expressive and so like over the top that when they do like an understated, like small scale dramatic performance, it's like, ooh, okay. Anyway, to get back to Dream Scenario, this is another sort of like relatively understated performance. He plays a professor of, I think, biology at
a professor of dreams.
A professor of dreams
and dream science. I'm in dreamology.
Professor of quantum dream mechanics. Yeah. Fuck you.
If this were written by a shitty writer,
he's a professor of dream scenarios. Yeah.
If it was a shittier writer, that's what they would have come up with. It's a professor in dream science, the dreamology.
No, he's just a...
Sorry. That was too funny.
But basically the whole gist of the movie is that he's a sort of loser professor. You're still laughing at that. Professor of dreams.
Just keep going. The camera's not on me anyways. I'll keep the camera on you. just keep doing your thing.
All right.
I'll just be over here quietly dying of laughter.
So Nicolas Cage, he plays a piece of shit, basically. He's like a...
Oh, okay. I didn't expect that. Okay. He's not a good guy.
He's a super unlikable character. So he has a picturesque, like, nuclear family. He's probably in his 60s, and he's a tenured professor at a college, like a fancy college. And he's a professor of biology, studies animals, and, some sort of science involving the evolution of animals' defensive mechanisms or something like that. So there's some metaphor story he tells about like zebra stripes. But anyway, you're still laughing at. Yeah. All right, I'm going to keep going.
Like that on the fucking nose.
It's a professor. Studying a scenario.
I swear to God, I'll get it together in a second. Okay. So he's a biology professor.
All right.
Sorry, folks, you just had to listen to 10 minutes of me dying of laughter. If you're just tuning into the audio only version, sorry, because you just had to listen to me like giggling into the thing.
Okay. So Nicolas Cage is a loser professor who's tenured, but he's unsatisfied in life because he wants to write this big thesis, like his
magnum opus.
His magnum opus, life's work is about.
Oh, that actually brought tears to my eyes. Jesus.
Okay, his life's work is about like some defense mechanism in like ants or something like that.
Okay.
And we start the movie off where he's like, yeah, like I've been working on it, but he hasn't really been working. It's very obvious that he's like a lazy piece of shit. And
it's like the stereotypical like teacher that's like, one day I'm going to write the great American novel.
One day I'm going to write my great thesis.
And then I'm in my 50s and I haven't written anything.
Yeah. And so the movie starts off where one of his ex-colleagues basically takes his idea and actually writes the book and writes the thesis and is starting to get a bunch of praise for it. And he like goes and meets them. And he's like, that was my idea. Like you took my research. And like they're basically like, well, you didn't do anything with it for 20 years. Like, I know we kind of researched the same stuff, but I actually did the research and produced this like scientific thesis that is very important. And he's like, well, I was going to.
Right.
So right away, you're like, this guy's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be kind of a humble, like, fun, nice guy, maybe a little like soft-spoken.
Like right off the bat, he's like he tries to record. He like goes and meets this like ex-colleague for lunch and like puts his phone on the table and tries to record the conversation, being like, "You stole my life's work."
Oh, to try to like blackmail him almost, like
basically.
But to try to get like a confession.
To try to get a confession, but it backfires where he just looks pathetic, and they're like, "Well, I'm sorry. Like it's different, and I did this, and there's." And so he just goes home dejected and is like, oh well. He's like, well, I'm gonna work on it someday. And he's got a wife and a teenage daughter. I can't remember if he has a son or not, but he's got this picturesque like little life, a nice house, and he is a tenured professor. But in terms of his actual dream of being like this famous writer, it's going nowhere. Now he goes home and talks to his daughter, and his daughter's like, hey, I saw you in a dream I had. And he's like, oh, that's weird. And obviously that continues on where all these people around him start seeing him just walking around in their dreams. So initially they don't think anything of it, but then it starts happening more and more to the point where he becomes like a viral sensation where all of his like... And again, it's so weird. Like, right? You think it's like, oh, he's probably like.
I've seen the trailer. I saw the trailer. The trailer is just literally like everybody is starting to for some reason, this one human being just starts appearing in mass amounts of people's dreams, and it's like, and then he becomes like an overnight celebrity, basically.
So his like lame kind of like whatever classes that he's teaching start becoming packed because people just show up being like, it's the guy.
You're the dream
guy.
Right.
Yeah. And then people start blowing up his like Facebook and start messaging him, and like news crews want to talk to him and stuff. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know why it's happening. And he's like humble about it at first, but then I think it's Michael Cera. Look up the cast. I think it's Michael Cera is like a tech guru guy, and he wants to bring Is it Michael Cera?
I don't see Michael Cera on this, so it must have been somebody else.
Go up. Maybe it's someone else. Open up Caleb the cast.
I'm on the cast. It's top cast. Michael Cera would be top cast. It's not him.
I swear to God, he's in this.
He's not in it, Kevin. Open up the cast. You've been pretty like demanding of like me looking shit up or like today. Is it Danny Elfman? Find out. I need to know this second.
No, it is Michael Cera.
Well, he's not top billed, so he's probably hardly in it.
IMDb sucks.
Apparently. I don't even see him on here. How far down the list? What? Oh my God, he's so far down the list.
Third listed on Wikipedia.
Weird.
So Michael Cera is the head of a viral marketing team, and they're like, so you're appearing in everyone's dreams, and we think we can make money off that. So he shows up because he's like, well, I want to get like publishing rights so I can write my book. And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. We can maybe work something out for you. But like, what we're thinking is if you keep appearing in everyone's dreams, maybe you could like hold up a can of Sprite or like talk about Sprite or something if you're appearing.
But he's not,
dreams.
but he doesn't control it.
No. So no one knows how it works. So
Right.
it's really odd, but people are trying to like financialize or something. That becomes a subplot. Anyway, the movie becomes weirder and weirder where he starts like, he's basically a global phenomenon where it's like happening everywhere. And then through this chance meeting of like trying to get publishing for his like lame book, this one like young hot secretary meets him at that company and she's like, hey, why don't we go out for a drink? And then
he has an affair?
Yeah, he basically has an opportunity for an affair against
Right.
his loving wife
Right.
and like his kids and stuff. And she's like, so the interesting thing is usually at the start of the movie, everyone dreams about him just like walking around and doing nothing. But she's like, actually, when you show up in my dreams, like we're fucking.
Right.
And so it's like an erotic
Yeah.
like dream. And he's like, oh, that's strange. So then they go out for drinks. He has an opportunity for affair and he totally bungles it. Like he's like completely he actually
Inept.
like it's like super cringe and like terrible. And like completely ruins it and then goes home again dejected. So the whole time you're like, okay, this guy's a loser. He has no control over any of this. He basically takes the opportunity to have an affair against his wife. And so he's just an incredibly unlikable character. And I think ultimately after that, he kind of spirals. And then all of a sudden, he's still appearing in everyone's dreams, but now he's like violently murdering them.
Yeah, he becomes.
dreams.
Yeah, I saw they show it in the trailer.
Do
too.
they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
show that people start having different kinds of dreams.
Yeah, I wasn't
about
sure
it.
how much
and
they
some
showed.
people are having like horror dream where he's
Yeah.
the actual like he's like a Freddy Krueger.
So then it becomes a different sort of like, I don't know, like the narrative or the metaphor changes where now it's almost like he's becoming canceled because no one wants to show up to his classes. No one wants him around because everyone basically in the entire community and around the world is dreaming of him like violently murdering them. And he like tries to go to a restaurant and he gets kicked out because they're like, sorry, sir. The guests are very uncomfortable with you here. And he's like, oh, this is ridiculous. And he just spirals and becomes worse and worse. And then like he basically ruins his family. He ruins his like opportunities.
Do you need to get into the spoiler though? Like I feel like you shouldn't be telling the third act.
Okay.
Like we kind of get the basic premise. Now,
Okay, yeah,
but like,
yeah.
But that's not spoil because it's such a new movie.
It's
Let's
a
not
new
spoil
movie.
Exactly,
I won't spoil how it goes because, but that's
because
where
I'm
it
gonna watch it
turns.
at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Just say that people start turning on him, which they show in the trailer. By the way,
they do. Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't spoil that. So people start turning on because the dreams get weirder.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
Without spoiling anything further, I would recommend watching it. I think it's very interesting.
Is it A24?
Maybe.
I don't think it is, but it feels.
Yeah, it is. It's A24.
Oh, A24. It's
Okay.
got to be, right?
Yeah.
It's got A24. Let's gush about them for a second.
Yeah.
They're probably the best studio right now making films.
Oh, yeah. I would say so.
Yeah. So if it is interesting, thought-provoking material done very high quality, it's probably A24. If it is a non-superhero, non-franchise, popcorn flick, A24 probably made it. They're responsible for like all the current like drama films. They do other genres. They do fantasy. They do horror. They do a little bit of everything. But all their stuff is like, it's like the auteur studio for the most part. It's like the filmmaker's studio.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah. I think they're
just knocking out of the park.
They're the ones to watch, basically. Like if you see something and you're like, oh, it's A24, you're like, okay, I got to give it a shot.
I got to give it a shot because it's probably going to be worth, like, very few of their movies are less than 7 out of 10s. And a lot of them are 8, or a lot of them would be 8 to 10.
That's probably why my friends wanted to go see it. They were like, let's go
A24.
See it, it's like A24.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that as soon as, and they're aware of it too. Like they've become a prestige.
Clout, basically.
They've become a prestige studio now, and they are aware of it because when you watch a trailer for any of their shit, fucking first thing that comes up is that A24 logo, and you go, oh,
yeah.
You tune in, you know? Oh, this isn't Madam Web.
Anyway, without spoiling any more of the movie, I think it's super interesting. It has an interesting message to the film. There's a lot of like metaphorical stuff going on. The narrative is unique. There is a weird supernatural element that they explore with it. And Nicolas Cage turns in like an understated, interesting performance where it's like, from the trailer, it's not what you think. Like you said, you think he's like a happy family man, but he's actually like a very deeply flawed character.
Right.
And it like digs at that and like explores that weird asshole like flawed character.
It's a fun premise. I'm definitely going to give it a chance.
I would say give it a chance. And even leaving the theater, we like discussing the movie afterwards with my friends. Everyone like took something interesting away from it, and they're like, "Well, actually, like I thought about this," and like it was worth it for a watch. So yeah,
cool.
I would give it a recommendation. Yeah, and I don't want to spoil anything else, so
cool.
just go check it out. Even if you don't like Nicolas Cage too, it's not like he doesn't. Like,
well, it's not. That's why I would. That's why like, I'm interested.
The bees.
Right.
Like, it's
that's
not
why
like
I'm
a
interested.
Crazy performance. Yeah.
I'm interested because it's not Nicolas Cage doing what Nicolas Cage normally does.
Yeah.
That's why it intrigues me. Yeah.
So give it a watch. Yeah.
Dream Scenario. It's a story about a professor of dreams who builds a device to implant himself into the dreams of people around him.
Yes.
See, a dumber version of that movie is exactly what I just described.
Would have been that, yeah.
And that's why I couldn't stop laughing, because I kept thinking about, I was picturing
I'm going to build a device that lets me go into people's dreams.
I was literally envisioning the fake production material, like advertising material for that film.
Yeah.
And it was just making me laugh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Back to you.
Let's go from a more artsy film to a blockbuster film. I rewatched Men in Black from 1997.
Here comes the Man in Black.
Please don't sing any more of that, or we will get demonetized. Come bounce with me. Come bounce with me. Is that song?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Men in Black, a staple of our generation. One of the biggest 90s movies, huge influence on 90s kids. Men in Black was the shit for a minute.
Everyone had this on VHS. Everyone watched this. Yeah.
Yeah. What you don't have this in your collection, I'm assuming. No.
No. Yeah.
If I said to you right now, do you think this is worth putting in your collection? Like, when's the last time you watched this?
I can't remember.
Like, have you ever watched this critically? Or have you only watched it as like a kid? That's a good question.
Not like critically, probably 10 years.
Okay.
Like, I remember when the sequels came out, and I never really went back, and I don't think I've seen 2 or 3.
No, you've seen Men in Black 2. You've at least seen 2.
I honestly don't think so.
You don't think you never saw 3, the one with Josh Brolin?
I watched this one like a million times back in the 90s and like early 2000s as a kid.
Yeah.
And I watched the cartoon show
which is
as a kid.
We're going to get to that. I love
and then
I
never really watched the sequels, and I've never gone back and like sat down and
watched it critically
as like an adult.
Well, I did it. I was on my rewatch list because I went, like, I have some movies in my collection that were childhood favorites that now have become staples in my collection.
Yeah.
And I recognize that they have flaws, but I still love watching them. So The Mask is a good example. You know, critically, it's not an incredible film, but I love watching that movie. I know it's a bit cheesy and a little kiddie, but I think it works great. A Goofy movie, that's another one that I own. It's not high art, but I think it's very enjoyable. It's one of those ones I loved as a kid, and it translates enough as an adult that you can relate to it. Just like, it's got enough there that it's worth watching as an adult.
Yeah.
Skilly wop, battle wop up. Yeah, that's the that's the that's Goof Troop.
That's Goof Troop. Okay.
That's the in case people are wondering why we just made these weird noises. That's the Goof Troop intro. That's from the Goof Troop.
Okay.
Yeah, which was the spin-off TV show of a Goofy movie. Anyways,
that was spun off from the movie?
Yeah.
I thought the movie was like
a
sequel to
Max was made for the movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah, okay. Goofy's teenage son, Max.
That was just a creation for the film. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Men in Black, 1997. Basic premise, in case you somehow don't know and live under a rock. It follows Will Smith, who is like a badass, like take no bullshit New York police detective. He's a cop. He's NYPD. Which, according to him in the movie, it means he will knock your punk ass down. Do you remember that line?
No, I don't remember.
So fucking good, yeah. He holds up his badge. And he's like, NYPD means I will knock your punk ass down.
Amazing.
So, amazing, yeah. He is like a no-nonsense, hardworking, young, like, I want to say rookie-ish cop on the hard streets of New York. And through a series of events, he ends up tangling with an alien, an extraterrestrial. He thinks he's pursuing some sort of criminal. I don't remember if it's like a robbery or something, but he's chasing. He's chasing a.
It opens with a chase scene, basically.
He's chasing. Well, it's not actually the opening of the movie, but it's the opening of his story. It's he's chasing a perp.
That's on the rooftops, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So he's chasing a perp, which is a fantastic chase scene, and he's actually able to keep up with a fucking alien that's like basically a metahuman. Like it's able to scale like a 10-story building, you know?
Yeah.
And he ends up encountering the alien, and the alien looks humanoid but does not act humanoid. And through this encounter, enter Tommy Lee Jones as Agent K. And K sees something in Will Smith. He's impressed that he was able to hold his own with this kind of alien encounter.
Yeah.
All the other police officers, everyone else, doesn't believe Will's story. Like Will tries to I keep saying Will. Sorry. I don't remember his actual name. It's J something in the movie because it's Agent.
He becomes Agent J.
He becomes Agent J. So let's just say Will Smith's character. No one believes his story, so that's when the Men in Black get involved. We then get slow rolled through Will Smith's character's eyes into this organization known as the Men in Black. The Men in Black are
MIB.
They're a play on like the old trope of government G-men, men in black suits, Area 51. The government has a secret organization that is hiding the extraterrestrials from us. And that's exactly what this is. It's a secret government organization that is hiding extraterrestrials' existence.
And becomes teamed up with
Agent K. He gets recruited by the MIB. He makes it through that. We got a whole sequence of him going through training and basically the qualifiers to see if he is material for the organization. He's with, do you remember like all the different sequences of tests?
I remember that. Yeah.
And he gets brought in basically under the recommendation of Agent K, of Tommy Lee Jones's character.
Well,
because also, initially the Zed, who's like the guy that runs MIB, he doesn't actually really want him. He's like, he's a bit of a hothead.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and K's like, so was I. Yeah, and he brings him in.
Let's not gloss over the fact that, MIB is the mysterious Men in Black G-Men organization, but they're actually using alien technology.
Yeah, well,
they're not anti-alien to the point where they're like, we're destroying everything. No. They're working in cooperation with like a lot of alien races. So that's
the Men in Black.
That's interesting.
The Men in Black are basically the UN force for the galaxy. Like, so the idea is like they're basically like
aliens are real. There's multiple alien races and civilizations.
Yes,
and they work in tandem with other like peaceful.
Right. Some are peaceful, some are not. So the Men in Black have access to technology that is how do I say this? Much more advanced than what we would have. Yeah. So they have, ray guns and laser guns and anti-grav things and all kinds of things you can dream up that they got from friendly alien races, other planets. They also have access to spaceships and things like that. They have all kinds of crazy technology. Their objective is to work peacefully with the alien races that want to work with us, because actually a big part of the Men in Black is immigration. They help aliens to immigrate to Earth and integrate, because aliens like to come here to vacation, or they like to come here to live as well.
And they can disguise as humans.
They can disguise as humans, right? So that's actually one of the biggest functions of Men in Black. But the secondary function is protecting us from the antagonistic and violent alien races.
Well,
the not so good guys.
The poster says protecting the Earth from the
scum of the universe. Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the idea. Is they also are Earth's defenders. They're like they act as the barrier from to the rest of the galaxy, between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. Yeah. They're like a line of defense against those that would do the planet harm. But they also are protecting the public from themselves. And that's a big plot point in the movie is, I don't know if you remember this, because that's the infamous, the neuralizer, right? So the Men in Black keep the existence of extraterrestrials a secret from the public.
Oh yes, because they're
a secret organization.
People.
They have something called a neuralizer, which when you look into it and if they activate it, it wipes your memories. So a big core function of the Men in Black is to contain any kind of alien exposure to the public and erase people's memories.
Yeah.
They work in the shadows. They are seen but do not exist.
That's super interesting. That's probably the most interesting part, that they're like going around mind wiping people.
Well, that's the big thing. Yeah. That's actually one of the... I'll give credit to the first Men in Black. I notice I didn't say I rewatched 2 and 3 and all that shit. The first one has a great balance of comedy and drama
and action
and action, but I'm saying tone wise, it takes the source material and treats it very seriously,
because this is based off a comic book,
which is and I've read the comic book, and I'll quickly just get into the comics. The comic goes it one step further, and it's actually the Men in Black also handle supernatural activities.
I've never actually read the comic series.
So they also they'll handle demons and shit like that. So
that's fucking crazy.
They go even further.
Yeah.
The comic is not fun.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why. It's like, it's so devoid of like fun and humanity and levity. It's so stark, like serious and bleak. And Agent K, Tommy Lee Jones's character, he's like the stoic, like by the book, like we do things by the book, we do protocol. He's got the stick up his ass.
Yep.
But he's still, he's got a heart. He's still a good person. Jay is like the rookie, like, hey, I'm going to do things my way, old man. He's the
hothead.
The hothead. Yes, that's the perfect way to describe it. So it's a buddy cop movie in a larger sense, for sure. Yep. But in the comics, Jay is not funny, and he's more serious, and Kay is like completely unlikable. They have no chemistry, like to the point where Jay like resents Kay for bringing him into the organization. It's like not fun. It's not. You're expecting the buddy cop dynamic that Tommy Lee Jones.
Because this has like a Lethal Weapon dynamic to it.
It's just the buddy cop. Yeah, it's buddy cop, but they're alien cops basically.
Yeah.
Right. But so if you're expecting this fun dynamic of like the straight man and the comedic hothead, and you're not gonna get that in the comics. In the comics, you get the normal guy and the piece of shit like heartless other guy, and it's I was shocked how bleak it was. I'm like, this isn't fun at all. Like, this is one of the things that like happens like in the first issue or second issue is like Agent K like shows up at a scene and executes a bunch of like Mexican drug dealers, like just kills them all. And Agent J's like, what the hell? You just killed all these people. And then Agent K was like, yeah, we had to do it in order for us to like accomplish our objective. Like, he has like no humanity. He is just like, yeah, it's not a fun read.
Okay.
Thankfully they fixed it. So the first movie though has a good balance of goofiness Like, it is very much a kid's film.
And it's a huge blockbuster, like entertaining. Like
it's got a good balance of like fun and camp and you know, like a children friendly picture at times, but it's also got a lot of weird fucked up shit in it. It's got a lot of dark things in it. The first film's got a good balance. The second film goes way too goofy and it's a piece of shit.
Oh,
that's like the kiddie one.
I've never seen the second one.
It's so goofy and it's crap. The third one, they tried to rebalance it again, and it largely succeeds. The third one's pretty good, actually. That's the one where it's Josh Brolin plays a young version of Agent K.
Oh, okay.
It's the time travel one, is the third one.
I've never seen the third one.
I'm shocked the third one ever got made. And I've never seen the fourth one with Chris Hemsworth, MIB International.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. It's the one that you just forget about. Apparently, most people said, like, eh.
Yeah.
Collectively, everyone
I also want
to
say, I feel like Men in Black as a concept and as like a blockbuster film makes perfect sense, like late 90s. It makes perfect sense to leapfrog off of like the popularity of like X-Files and things like that.
Yeah,
like,
right. The G-Men.
Mysterious G-Men. And like there's aliens hiding in society that we don't know about and stuff. So to take that whole government conspiracy stuff and make like a fun comedic action blockbuster that's kind of freaky makes perfect sense. I put my hands behind my head like this.
Yeah, that's Vincent D'Onofrio.
Is it really?
D'Onofrio is the cockroach.
Really?
Yeah, D'Onofrio is the villain in this film. Yeah, D'Onofrio. He's so good in this.
Sugar.
Yeah,
in water.
That's Vincent D'Onofrio.
Incredible.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio plays the evil alien cockroach. Is the villain, the main antagonist of this film. I think I've basically given enough of the plot. It's basically like the young rookie gets recruited into the MIB, and then what follows is a buddy cop alien police film. And they end up trying to contain like Vincent D'Onofrio's character, yada yada, whatever. It's not like hugely important. It's a buddy cop alien police film. I would say one of the biggest strengths of the film is Will Smith is so good in this. Like he is.
This is the peak Will Smith era.
Peak Will Smith. This is 97. This is Will Smith. This is literally the film where like, I don't know exactly how his filmography played out, but like this was one of the films where you went, oh, he's a movie star. Like he whatever it is, he's just so charismatic on screen. He's so funny. Like his mannerisms and the way he delivered his line delivery. Yeah. He's so instantly likable.
Many iconic lines.
Yeah, you're just like, Will Smith is the man in this movie.
I make this look good.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Like he is so fun to watch on screen. He was destined to be a movie star, basically, from like when you see this performance. The chemistry between him and Tommy Lee Jones, I think, works really well. I think they play off each other very well. The straight man and the hothead.
Yep.
I think for the most part, all the cast is good. Like no one really, there's no real bad performances here. They actually, there's no phone-in performances, despite the outrageous material they're working with. They take it seriously. The sets and props are phenomenal. Like the props they came up with, like all the fake guns and all the tech and all that. None of that's CG. There is CG in this film, but they don't use it a lot. It's mostly for like the spaceship shots
or for like the alien transformations.
But well, no, a lot of the for when they transform, but a lot of the actual aliens are practical. Like a lot of the one, like the humanoid looking ones. There's
a lot of real like slime. And
there's a lot of like
and,
props. Yeah, a lot of actual props and puppets in this film.
Did they build that car too? That must be real.
I believe the car is real. I mean, some of the shots of it are CG, but like anytime they use their alien tech, like it's such a great use of prop work in this. All of their guns look like these. All their weapons look like these fancy sci-fi weapons. They feel very grounded. The setting of MIB headquarters is great. Like there's a lot of great practical stuff in this. Obviously you've already mentioned it, but the amazing theme song. Thank you, Will Smith.
Yep.
That's the iconic Men in Black theme song. I'm not going to play any of it because I don't feel like getting demonetized, but
that's when he
very catchy.
He would rap and produce like
he was still doing rap. Yeah, he was still doing, he was still basically a recording artist at that point.
Yep.
I touched on it spawned an unfortunate franchise. They never really got close to the quality of this one, other than maybe 3. However, I gotta give some love to the cartoon. I loved the cartoon. I'm going to go on a rant here just for a second.
I loved it as a kid. I've not revisited it.
I have rewatched it. So I loved it as a kid. I thought it was the cartoon has this tone where they crank up the goofy parts, they crank up a little bit because it is supposed to be a kid's show. But the dark elements are all still there.
There's a weird surreal element to it. Even the intro is like, ooh, like what is going on here?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's basically like an X-Files-esque show for children.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. And the animation is great. The cartoons, like the actual character designs were fantastic. They worked really well. Yeah. It's got a cool aesthetic to it. I rewatched it when I was like 20. It had 4 seasons. I rewatched the whole thing.
4 seasons.
I thought it was really good. It's definitely ripe for a rewatch again. Unfortunately, it's impossible to find because it's one of those where it never got a proper physical release and is just stuck in rights limbo, I guess. I don't know what the fuck. They just haven't done anything. I'm hoping at some point it gets put out on physical so I can actually rewatch the whole thing. Like, I could stream it, but it'd
be nice to have it collected.
Well, it's also, what if I stream it and find out I actually still really like it and then I want to own it? And it's like, I guess I can't. Like, that's, fucking lame as shit.
It sucks.
The cartoon, I think, was just very well made. I just had a great tone to it. Great cartoon, great aesthetic. Now I want to go on a rant about Men in Black for a second.
Okay.
The biggest crime of the first film, in my opinion, is it ends after one adventure. So the ending of Men in Black, it thematically makes sense. So the actual you touched on what you thought was the opening was Will Smith doing the chasing the perp. The actual opening is K and Agent D, I believe it is. Or it might have been you or something.
Is that in the desert?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So it actually opens with Tommy Lee Jones and an even older partner. And Tommy Lee Jones is the younger partner. And it's a great moment where the older partner realizes he's a little too old at this point and it's time for him to retire, that this is a very physically taxing job.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really have it in him anymore. And one of the darkest elements of the Men in Black is when they retire you, they wipe your memories.
Yes, that's right.
So you never knew you were ever part of this organization. How fucking dark is that? Because that's such a weird implication.
Isn't the ending that Kay wants to retire?
Bingo.
Okay.
So
that would involve him,
It ends. So that's the ending of the movie. It ends with Agent J neuralizing Agent K and Tommy Lee Jones's memories.
And how much
wiped.
do you forget? You forget everything about MIB, but do you forget your own past?
So they give you basically will put in like a fake memory for you.
Okay.
Yeah, they implant like fake like positive memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because actually they have it. They have an in the end, Jay's reading newspaper and it shows a headline and it's like, man thought lost for 30 years found and finds new love.
So they set up like a happy life.
And so it shows him like,
basically.
they set up a happy life. They set up like
still dark though.
It's still dark. Yeah, they take a huge chunk of your life and you never get it back and you don't know, what it even was. It's a really dark implication. So to me, the problem why I don't like the ending is those two characters worked so well together. Agent J, Agent K, Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith. I just wanted, if I was going to get a sequel, give me more of that.
Yeah, but that's the same as like Lethal Weapon, where it's like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
But we still got another 3 movies of those two characters, and they were great. We watched that franchise. And
we did.
How much fun was 3 and 4 were still,
it was still a blast.
Still a blast, still firing on all cylinders. So my problem with with Men in Black is that ending, thematically it makes sense that now it's time to retire him, but to me it's like they kind of fucked themselves because they retire Agent K and Agent J gets a new partner. He gets Agent L. Agent L, I don't know if you remember this.
I don't remember
She was the mortician, the female mortician.
Okay.
It was the woman. They run into her a couple times in the movie.
Yeah.
She ends up joining the Men in Black and becomes his new partner.
Okay.
That's a cool setup.
That's great.
Fine.
Yeah.
They never follow that up in the sequel.
What?
So in the sequel, they're just like, nah, forget Agent L. And I don't even remember how they write her out. She's not his partner. So
what the fuck?
So in the sequel, Agent J is working alone. And then it turns out because of the plot, they're like, we need Agent K's memories. He's the only one that ever knew this thing. But so then they go to Agent.
So they have to rescue his memories back or whatever.
Right.
That's the
but
MacGuffin.
Agent K has no recollection. So he just thinks that like Will Smith's nuts, and he doesn't act like Agent K. He acts like.
Yeah.
So the problem with the second one,
comedy then, because he's like, because then he's reacting for the first time to all the alien stuff.
The problem with
that could work.
The problem. Okay, see, here's my problem. They had a great chemistry, great formula in the first movie. They ruined that at the ending because now it's like they shut the door on.
Well, they don't ruin it. They
shut the door. They concluded it. Right. My problem is we only got one adventure. That's not enough. And thematically, it doesn't make sense that Kay would retire so quickly. He just retired his partner. So you're talking like a few months later, he retires himself? It's like they weren't.
Yeah.
It comes too quick. I get thematically why they did it, but to me, that should have happened in the third film. Think of the payoff if we had several films of them having adventures together, and then at the end, that could have been the finale of the whole series, is when he finally retires Kay. Think about how powerful that could have been. But they don't earn it by the end of this runtime. It feels too sudden. I didn't like it. It's just like, really? Like, okay, like why are you retiring immediately after your partner? It doesn't feel earned. They put it at the wrong time. And they knew they fucked up because they rewrote the second one. They immediately are like, forget it, Agent L. Who the fuck knows what happened to her? And then he's got to find Agent K, but Agent K isn't Agent K. He's like his actual person. And he doesn't act like Agent K for 90% of that film. Yeah. Because the whole plot is like they have a deneuralizer, which is like this giant thing he's got to get in. And the bad guy is like trying to stop them from using that machine. So
they don't want him to get all the memories
right.
back.
So literally it's not until like the end of the third act he gets his fucking memories back finally, and now he's Agent K. But guess what? But then the movie's over.
And then they didn't do another movie for like 10 years or something.
So then they do another movie, Men in Black 3. Men in Black 3, it opens with a very short little thing with Agent K and Agent J and Tommy Lee Jones. It's a very short, like, they go on this quick little mission, basically.
Okay.
And it's okay. It's not a bad sequence. And then Agent K is all depressed. We don't really know why. And then Agent K gets erased from time. That's the plot. It's a time travel movie.
Oh, okay.
And so then
time mechanics.
So then Agent J has to go back. They go with like the Back to the Future logic, where it's like whatever you do here, it's the same. It's all one timeline.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then he goes back in time. And now he's in the 70s version of the Men in Black, which is a fun idea.
That's a great idea.
It's like when they first started, and it's all period accurate.
Awesome. Yeah.
And it's like they don't even have. So like one of the jokes is like they have real guns. There's no sci-fi guns. Yeah, and even Will Smith's like, no, sci-fi gun. Give me a sci-fi gun. And then he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So the young K is played by Josh Brolin, who does a great Tommy Lee Jones impression.
Yeah, that actually sounds fun.
But again, here's the problem. I just want to watch Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, but you didn't give it to us in the second film because he's not himself.
Yeah.
And now you don't give it to us in the third film because he's not in the movie. It's Josh Brolin, and Josh Brolin is not playing Agent K. He's playing a young, happy-go-lucky Agent K.
Before he's all bitter and jaded.
Bingo. Okay. So it's not the same dynamic. It doesn't work at all. It actually makes, they almost make, that their dynamic doesn't work for me.
You can't always get what you want, all right?
No,
just stop complaining.
No, let me finish my rant. And then that film ends with him coming back, and because he fixes everything, and then Agent K is alive. And then it turns out, the big revelation is it turns out they actually had more of a connection than we knew at that point. There's a revelation that Agent K has actually been secretly looking at, like, watching over Agent J his whole life.
Okay.
Which I don't mind that. There's things in 3 I like. But what pisses me off is, again, all I want is just the adventures of Agent J and K from the fucking first Men in Black. Just give me that. The movies didn't do it, but the fucking cartoon did, and the cartoon nails it. The cartoon retcons the ending of the movie. Agent K does not get neuralized, doesn't get his memory wiped.
The movie.
That doesn't happen. It just immediately starts off with, okay, the movie has happened, and now we're going to proceed. And now we get Agent J and Agent K.
That's fucking cool.
And every episode is a fun hijinks, alien romp. It's fun. And they introduce all kinds of different aliens, all kinds of, like, what the movies didn't do, the cartoon went nuts with. Because the cartoon was like, you have a blank check, you can create any lore you want. Because they're not. This isn't going to be canon
it's also
anyways.
Animation, so you can draw like anything.
Right.
You don't have to like.
Right. And the character designs are so good for the aliens. We get all these weird alien races. We get all these neat weapons. We get fun new characters that only exist in the cartoons. They have recurring characters in the cartoon. Like they create a new villain called Alpha, who is one of the best recurring characters. He's so like horrifying. He's literally like an ex. So he is an ex. Men in Black agent who goes rogue, and he becomes like a terrorist who his whole thing is like he's trying to tear apart the Men in Black organization.
Wants to destroy the organization.
Yes, because he feels that alien tech should be available to everybody. So he's not actually like
yeah.
And he augments himself with alien tech. So
it sounds
it's
awesome.
very body horror.
Yeah. So it's like Cronenberg shit.
He literally becomes like by the end, but he's a recurring character. And like the beginning, he's like slightly augmented. Then he gets a little more
becomes full.
Literally by his last appearance, he's like a thing creature that can like assimilate things into him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he can like assimilate their character. He becomes like a super mutant, like a mutant basically, right? The cartoon just goes.
That sounds fucking awesome,
right? Yeah. It goes ham wild with all this shit, and it's fucking awesome. And they don't write Elle out of it. They keep her.
I remember it. Yeah, she was.
They keep her on as an agent of the Men in Black. She works at the headquarters. She's like one of the lab techs, but they keep her on. They don't get rid of that character, and they develop that character, and it works. And sometimes the mission has all three of them on it.
Yep.
And there's other agents. We get like.
Well, you're describing the TV, like a TV show that's syndicated, but it's also like animated. You can do a lot more with that.
I know, but what I'm saying is
the
biggest crime here.
You can't always make like a fucking $300 million blockbuster every year. Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones have other.
I get that. But what I'm saying is the cartoon showed what they could have done and they didn't do it. You're saying because it was a cartoon, it was easier to do. I'm saying they made movies anyways. They should have just followed what the cartoon did.
I see. Yeah, okay.
They already spent hundreds of millions making another 3 movies. Why not do them good? You know, like why not?
Why can't it be good?
Right. You got it. Why can't they just do it good? The cartoon fucking nailed. They should have taken the blueprint. And I'm pitching this to Hollywood right now. Here's my pitch to you. You're going to bring Men in Black back at some point. There is potential there. It is a cool concept that you can do. It's like a blank check, you know? It's like a playground for creativity and fun alien and sci-fi science fiction. Watch the cartoon and just fucking adapt that. That's it. It's the end of my pitch. Because like everything's already written. They just adapt what's already there. They already did that well. Or if you don't even want to use those characters, you want to use new agents, you don't want to use J or K or any of that shit, fine. But take the blueprints of the show and adapt that. Like take the bits that work and then make that work.
I think it could work. Like you could do anything with the concept.
That's what I'm saying. It's a blank check.
It's just a mysterious organization that tracks and hunts aliens and arrests aliens. Like you could do anything. It could be like True Detective, where every season is different agents or a different case or something. You could do anything with it. Yeah.
So did it end up in my collection? It did not end up in my collection.
The first film?
The first film. No, okay. I really like it, but I think it has some pacing issues. I think it drags at times, and I just don't think it's just not quite good enough, in my opinion. For me, I didn't feel it was quite good enough. There's a lot I like in it, but it's just not quite there.
No, interesting.
Just doesn't quite make it for me. So, why don't I give you another quick one?
Yeah,
because I think you have less than I have. I've got a bunch on my list here. Okay, I watched the 2002 movie The Menu. Have you heard of this?
2022.
What did I say?
2002.
I watched the 1982 movie The Menu. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the 2222, the year 2222 movie. It was made in the future and then shipped back. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
Do you know what this is?
I know about it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a thriller about like fine dining, and then it becomes like a class, like metaphor or something. That's all I know.
Kind of, yeah. It may not become the movie. Wait till you hear me describe it. It may not be the film you're thinking
I think
of.
There's elements of horror to it.
Yes,
too. Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
other than that, that's all I know. Like, I don't know much else.
So it is a indie film that is very like under the radar, critically acclaimed. It was
a pretty big movie. It was in the conversation.
Yeah, but I mean it's a low budget film. Yeah. It's like a critically well made film. Okay, smart man's film, if you will. It's very artsy for sure. The premise is all of these like rich elite people travel to this mysterious island for this rare opportunity to be served by this like world-class chef played by Ralph Fiennes. And he is like this world-renowned god-tier chef that all the celebrities, all the royalties, all the richest people in the world want to have food, like want to eat his food.
And he's probably super eccentric.
And he's very eccentric, and to the point where he has now secluded himself on an island with a group of his personal followers that are like his underlings / apprentices.
Like, I'll do anything for him.
Yeah, but they're also apprentices.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So he has his own team of like god tier apprentices working underneath him.
And he's so famous that he can basically charge anything.
He can charge anything, and he can do anything he wants because everybody wants him more than he wants them.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They're coming to him, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's got, it's carte blanche to just whatever. So they all take a boat to this island, this mysterious island, with all of his followers, this eccentric chef, for this once-in-a-lifetime dining experience where you're going to get an entire evening of dishes prepared for him. So you're familiar with like multi-course meals, right?
You're basically getting like a whole day of being like served various things. And
right, and they're all going to be like, over-the-top eccentric dishes that are like finger food, but it took like 3 hours
to fill you up. It's meant to like, each thing is an experience, right?
It's an experience. It's like a sampling. It's like a sampling experience. You got it.
But it goes through
and this is a real thing.
Oh yeah.
So they're making fun of that culture. That's the idea.
Of like
they're making
super high fine dining culture, like
right?
Foodie culture that's gone extreme.
Yeah, for people that have more money than brains. That's literally what they're making fun of. It's like,
so it sounds like Glass Onion, basically, where like the concept of like ultra rich doofus people.
Yeah, but it has nothing.
Go to an island to like.
It's not tonally, it's not like Glass Onion at all. Glass Onion is very tongue in cheek and humorous. This is not. This is satirical, but it's bleak and serious.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's
not comedic at all.
No, not well. Okay. Yes, there's moments of comedy, but
it's probably like black comedy.
It's
like
black. It's dark comedy. It's like fucked up comedy where you're like, oh shit.
Okay.
Yeah. So they go to this island and they begin their dining experience, and what precedes is one of the weirdest, most bizarre, strange dining experiences you will ever see. It starts off, so we have all these different eccentric rich people. There's like, one guy's like a famous actor. One guy's just like some rich businessman. One guy's just some like rich kid. There's a group of like Wall Street guys. It's like all these different forms of wealth in this one dining hall. And they have this great set that's like this ultra modernistic dining hall, and the kitchen is right there, right beside it.
Okay.
And we've got Ralph Fiennes, who's literally, he nails the pretentious chef.
Well, yeah, he
just nails it.
He's so perfect at playing like just strange, like
eccentric,
neurotic
understated
characters that are like,
deeply like deeply dark below the surface. Like,
despite not seeing the movie, I saw like a trailer and the poster, and you're like, "Yep, that makes perfect sense."
Yeah,
you see his face, and you're like,
cast.
"Yeah."
We've also got Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yep.
The main character is mostly Anna Taylor-Joy, and Ralph Fiennes is like the main antagonist. Nicholas Hoult is her date. You know who Nicholas Hoult is?
I know who he is.
Like that guy. He's right on the poster there. The young guy that he was like Beast in the newer X-Men movies.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
He was almost Batman.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
He lost the role to Robert Pattinson.
Wow.
That's
okay. That's got to sting.
Yeah. but he's gonna get his revenge because he's playing Lex Luthor.
Oh, cool.
I believe. I think it was him. He got cast as Lex Luthor.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, Ralph Fiennes like
plays to perfection.
You see his face, and you're like, yeah, that's a crazy chef. That's like a neurotic like chef or something.
He plays the role to perfection of the eccentric, pretentious chef. And the dishes, it starts off and the dishes are complete nonsense. It's like...
Yeah. What's the craziest, like, what...
I can't even remember, but it's like, I think the first one is like a flower. It's like this over-the-top, like, diorama that they put on your table, and it's like you're just meant to eat like a flower on the diorama.
So it's more like a presentation of a thing, and then you just take like one bite kind of thing.
And then one of them is like, it's a sandwich, but there is no actual sandwich. It's just the sauces of the sandwich. Like every course is nonsensical. It's like just not, it's just all nonsense, but everyone there is like treating it seriously. Like,
It's like almost like a weird thought experiment. It's like, what if a sandwich was like pureed into the different parts of a sandwich or something like that?
Some of them, like everyone's got different reactions. Some of them are just like, I paid money for this. Like some of them are just like, some of them are like, this is stupid.
Some of them are blowing it off.
Other one, like Nicholas Holt's character is like eating it up. He's just like, oh yes, this is, oh yeah. Like he's trying to absorb every moment of this experience.
So Holt and Anna Taylor-Joy, what is their backstory? Why are they there? Are they rich?
So I don't want to get into spoilers. That actually gets into spoilers.
Okay.
So most of the people there, you understand.
So you
why
recommend
you're there?
this? Like you don't want to spoil this? Then,
no, it's a good time.
And
it's a good time.
watch the whole movie.
It's a good time.
Okay.
It's a good time. It is basically like a lot of the movie is what you call like food porn. Like it's shot beautifully, and you get these gorgeous shots of like these eccentric dishes. You know, it really looks like it looks so believable. Of like you could just see some jackass putting this in his restaurant. You know, it's just like these little portioned things, but the presentation is like incredible. You know, everything is like every course is almost like a show, and Ralph Fiennes like delivers a monologue for the theme of every course,
of course,
as well, and he delivers it perfectly.
Yeah.
And then we get the switch where one of the courses is literally this doesn't spoil a ton. You know it's gonna get fucked up. So I'll spoil one of the first moment where like shit goes off the rails is I think it's like the fourth course is they roll out a big roll of plastic sheeting, and then one of Ralph Fiennes' followers just shoots himself in the head. And that's the course. It's like,
what?
Yes. One of his followers is literally just like, they roll out, like, they do like this whole, and then just takes out a handgun and just shoots himself in the head. Yeah. That's how dedicated his followers are. They're like willing to give their life for the craft.
Is that part of the performance, or do they eat his body? Or
no, it's not cannibalism. It's just like the performance. Yeah, and I can't remember what the explanation is, but yeah,
but that's part of the.
So some of the courses are not food. They're just like
a performance.
It's like a performance or some madness thing.
I want to watch this.
It only gets more. That's why I wanted to tell you that it only gets more insane.
Okay,
I'm just telling you right now. Yeah, you will be on the edge of your seat, going, where is this going?
I love
how dark is this going to get?
Yeah.
It just, and then what we slowly, like 90% of the movie takes place in this dining room, and they do such a good job with that dining room. It's like a masterclass in acting because everybody's great. And as it proceeds, you get to see everyone's reaction to this insane situation because essentially they get taken hostage and they're like forced.
Well, yeah, I imagine after that moment,
everybody would try to run away.
People would be like,
right.
I'm getting out
but
of here.
But Ralph Fiennes was like, no, you must stay for the entirety of the... Like, Ralph Fiennes turns into a menacing character that's basically locking all these people in his fucked up...
So they're trapped now.
Dining experience. They're trapped. Yeah. They're in for the long ride. And it just gets more and more insane. And it's played 100% straight. Like there's satirical moments, there's funny moments, but it's played very straight. One of the funnest things is everybody's reaction to this insane scenario is so good.
That sounds great.
The cast is great. Everybody, and as the movie progresses, it reveals little backstories of why everyone is there,
of how we got here and why people are there.
And how did Anna Taylor-Joy get there? How did the rich businessmen get there? And some of the people know each other.
Ooh.
And you get little revelations. It has an insane ending. I'll say that. I'm just going to put that in your mind now.
Okay.
So expect the movie's pure madness, honestly.
Yeah.
But after the 30-minute mark, it just becomes pure madness. It's very artsy in that I don't think this would appeal to a lot of I don't think this would appeal to mainstream because it's not a thriller enough and it's not dumb enough. It's a little too smart.
Yeah.
That being said, I think you only have to watch it once. I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again because I don't think it's that good, but I also don't know that it's necessary to I don't know that it's a rewatchable movie.
It's totally worth a watch, but
it's an experience movie.
It's an experience.
It's an experience film.
Yeah.
If you've watched something like Platform, that's this crazy concept and you just get to see it played out, or Cube, there's a lot of shit you don't necessarily have to watch more than once. Exam is another good example. You ever seen Exam? That's
I never saw that one.
So they're all movies where it's a madness scenario and they play it straight and you get to see it play out. And it's once it played out, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to watch it again. But it's probably going to end up in a lot of people's collections.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It sounds like a lot of fun actually.
Yeah, watch it. There you go. I'm not even going to give you anything more.
Yeah, no, I don't want any more.
Yeah, watch it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, watch it. Do you want another quick one, or you want to bounce to you?
I can perfectly follow up with a quick one.
You got an artsy
very
one?
Similar to what you just described.
What do you got?
Have you seen the new movie Saltburn?
No, but I've heard of it.
Okay.
Let me look this up.
Yeah.
Okay, please don't spoil anything.
Yeah, I won't spoil it because it's very new. I think it came out last month, maybe, or a month or two ago.
Yeah, this is the Barry Keoghan one. This is the one I was thinking of.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Barry Keoghan or Barry Keown or Barry?
I said Keoghan.
He's super Irish, so I don't like.
Barry K.
Keegan Keown.
Hey,
I don't know.
Barry K.
Okay.
Yeah, Barry K.
Barry K. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yep.
I'm not Irish and I don't know how to pronounce Irish names. I apologize.
This was 2023. This is brand new.
Oh, this came out recently.
Yeah, I know because it was on my list, but I just didn't get a chance to watch it.
So it was in theaters, and I think it's now up on one of the streamers, either Netflix or one of the other ones.
Yep, it's on my rewatch list. It's on my watch list. Yep.
So this is a madness movie that is best to go in totally cold. So I don't really want to spoil it too much, but it's very similar to what you just described with the menu, where it's Barry Kay is a new Oxford student at a very prestigious British college, and he's kind of a loser, a loner. He doesn't fit in, and he has no friends. And he's such a it's worth just watching for his performance. I would say, if you take anything away from it, it's he's such an I think he's gonna have a great
He's an up and coming right now.
He's an up and coming. He's gonna have a great decade.
You know that's the new Joker.
Really?
That's him.
That's him?
That shitty fucking scene they put into the Robert Pattinson one, that was him.
Okay, I'm very excited for that.
See, I know. I know. That's why part of me hated that scene because where they put it in the movie made no sense.
Yeah.
But
no, he is you just can't take your eyes off of him. I find he's such an interesting. I've seen him in a few movies now. He was in The Green Knight as just a really creepy small role.
You're right in that he's definitely an up and comer, and he's got a long, good, solid career ahead of him. He's one of those talented young actors now.
I've only seen him in The Green Knight and in Banshees of Inisherin, and he was phenomenal in both. You're just who is that guy?
Yep.
When you watch those movies. So in this, it's the same thing. You're like, okay, what is going on with this guy? Because he's sort of like a loner at Oxford at this new school, and he very obviously, he doesn't come from money. He got in on a scholarship. And so right away, there's a class dynamic of like, there's the other students that are super rich and come from like old money, and they just get to go to Oxford and they just don't really care and they just party and do whatever. Whereas it shows him on the first day, he shows up and one of the professors is like giving him the introduction, and they're like, oh, did you read any of the books on the reading list? And he's like, yeah, I read all of them. And the professor's like, all 50? He's like, you don't have to do that. That was just a recommendation. Like, almost no one reads all of them. And he's like, oh, okay. So right away, you're like, this guy's like, this is a huge opportunity for him. He's kind of neurotic. Like, who would read 50 books on like a recommended reading list just to show up? And then we sort of get little scenes of how he basically has no friends, and he's struggling. And then one day, Jacob Elordi's character, who I guess he's from
Euphoria.
Yeah,
he's very good in Euphoria.
I haven't seen Euphoria, but he's very good in this movie too. So he is like an old money, ultra rich.
I was gonna say, let me guess, he's playing like an elitist douchebag.
Yes,
yeah.
So he's like an elitist.
He has a like fuck face look to him.
Yeah. So he's basically a fuck boy. He's like there to party and smoke and drink and like bang other college girls, and like they sort of cross paths, and then Jacob Elordi's character, I won't spoil it too much, but he kind of takes him under his wing and feels pity for him. And he's like, hey, like, you can come to our table and have a drink with us and like hang out with us. And so then Barry, like Kay's character's like, oh, okay, thank you. And so the movie proceeds from there, where you're watching this like blossoming sort of friendship with this like crazy rich guy and then this just like, quiet, meek, like loner. And then this isn't like spoiling too much, but Barry Keoghan's character confides in Elordi's character. He's like, oh, I just got off the phone and like my dad passed away recently. And like Elordi's like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. And he's like, well, you surely you must go home. Like you shouldn't stay for exams. You should go home and be with your family. That's horribly tragic. And like Barry Keoghan's like, no, I don't want, I can't go back there. Like I had a horrible childhood and like my mother's a drug addict and like I come from nothing. There's nothing for me to go home.
Yeah, there's
like,
nothing out there for me.
Yeah, he's like, it's sad that my dad passed away, but he's like, I have nothing to go home to. And so Elordi, feeling pity for him, is like, you know what? Okay, well, finish your exams or whatever, and then why don't you come stay with me? Like, it's no skin off my back. Like,
is this like still in the first 30 minutes?
This is in the first like 20 minutes. I was gonna say
this feels like pure setup. Yeah.
Yes. So what proceeds is like Elordi takes pity on him. Is like, you have nowhere to go. Your family is like horrible, and like you have suffered this tragedy. Come stay with me for the summer. So he takes him up on the offer. He's like, no, really, no, I don't want to impose. I don't want to impose. But then he's like, okay, fine, I will. So he shows up, and the title of the movie, Saltburn. Saltburn is the estate that Elordi's family like owns and lives at. And it's like basically Downton Abbey. Have you seen Downton Abbey before?
Yeah, it's the like posh.
Yeah. They're super old money British.
Old money British
they
show.
Own this gigantic.
Is that the show? No, that's not the show where everyone fucks. That's Bridgerton's where everyone fucks, right?
Yeah, Downton Abbey is just about like an ancient like family of that. They
women
own this
women love it because all women want to be princesses. Yeah.
Okay.
No, anyway, find one woman that doesn't love Downton Abbey.
I've watched Downton Abbey. It's very good.
Well, you want to be a princess. That's
I do want to be a princess. Okay.
You heard it first here, folks.
Okay, so he goes to stay with Elordi, and he lives at this sprawling, huge, eccentric like manor, with like full like grounds and an entire staff of people. Like he's got footmen, and like so the level of wealth and extravagance is insane. Like he's giving him a tour of the house, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is this room. This is this room. watch out for the Picassos. Like, this is like a clock that was owned by like King Henry VIII, and blah blah blah. So right off the bat, you're like, holy shit, okay. And I know I'm just like describing the setup, but what goes from there is that like there's something off about Barry Kay's character, where he's sort of like obsessive over Elordi, and you're not sure why or what is his backstory, because it's mysterious. And then the movie proceeds to delve into madness from there. So give it a watch. I don't want to spoil it. It's worth like a watch. I think it's a bit controversial, the movie, actually. So there's been controversy around how it's been received. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm not entirely up to date on what the reviews are, but I thought it was an experience. Like as you're watching it, you think it's going to go one way, then it goes another way, and then different crazy things happen. And in the end, I don't know that it fully had like a full grasp on like maybe the metaphors or the theming of the movie, but ultimately it's just like a wild trip, and it's just like ends in like craziness.
So can you give me any implication of like the madness? Because you're not really, or was it spoil it?
I don't want to spoil it, but basically,
I got nothing to work with here.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
I'm not
we got
giving
the
you much to
rich
work
kid
with.
brings the poor kid to his country home where he's like insanely rich, and it's like an estate, and then you're like, well, madness ensues. But it's like, can you give me that? Like, I gave you the fourth course where the guy shoots himself in the head.
Okay.
What's the trailer bait moment that you would go like, oh, what? Or do you genuinely not want to give anything?
If you don't want to be spoiled, maybe skip ahead. But so basically, once he gets to the manor, Barry Kay starts like it becomes sort of what's the word? Obsessive and neurotic, where he's like watching Elordi through the window at night, and like he meets his other weird eccentric family. So Elordi has a sister, and actually his mother is played by Rosamund Pike. And there's other characters. There's like another sort of hanger-on friend who lives at the manor that they go to school with, that doesn't like Barry because he's like, no, you don't belong here, kind of thing. And then
you're garbage.
Yeah, like there's a weird class thing going on there where he's like, well, you're just like Elordi's plaything. Like he's right. Interested in you now, but like don't think you belong here. You're just a pity project. And then his sister takes an interest in him, and then Barry starts like worming his way into the family, and then where it's like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Is he's obviously like either like pseudo-sexually or basically overtly sexually attracted and enamored to Elordi. But he also like has a sexual encounter with his sister. And so then you're like, oh, what the fuck is going on here? And it's like, it's weird. And then there's a scene where he watches Elordi like jerk off in the bathtub.
Okay.
And then Elordi's like, like comes in the bathtub, gets out and cleans up and leaves. And like Keegan goes in and starts like slurping the bathwater.
Oh, okay. All right. There it is. There's the bullet there's the fourth course bullet. There it is. Okay.
Spoilers.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. Okay. All right. Tell me nothing more. This sounds like pure madness. Are you recommending this?
It's worth a watch.
Is it really good, or is it just like worth a watch?
I would say it's similar to The Menu. I don't think it's like...
It's like a one and done. Where it's like,
for me, it was a one and done.
It's a fun trip. Once you go through the trip, you probably never got to go on the ride again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Yep.
I don't think it's like incredible. I don't think it's terrible. It's just like... I certainly enjoyed watching it. I was like, oh shit, that was very interesting. I don't know that it like fully sticks to the landing in the end, but I was satisfied by the ending. But at the same time, I could see why retroactively you could be like, there were some narrative issues or things. But like without picking nits, watch it and it's worth the experience, because it's like it. I love movies where as you're watching it, you kind of don't know where it's going to go or where it's going to end up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Similar to the way you described the
Parasite,
menu. The moment a guy rolls out a tarp and shoots himself in the head,
you're like, where is this going?
Like, all bets are off.
Yeah, right. It's literally the Parasite moment where we discover a man's been living in the walls in the basement, right?
And so I love this movie for that because like once certain things happen, you're just like, I don't know where this is going anymore.
And that's fun. Like, it's fun. I think of those movies like ride movies. They take you on a ride, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them have more to it than that. And then you get Parasite, where those are masterpieces.
Yes.
And then other ones are like the Menu, where I don't think there's quite enough meat on the bone to make it worth, constant rewatches / owning.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad those movies exist. And I too enjoy those movies.
Yes.
I'd rather watch that than whatever the fuck Marvel's cooking up right now, right?
Yeah.
Or like, Fast X or some other bullshit that's in the theaters right now,
Yeah.
So
there's Saltburn. Definitely recommend checking it out if what I described is like, ooh,
and the performances are good. And
again, Barry Keenan or whatever is. I
saw the runtime was pretty long. It looked like, does it drag at all? Because it said 2 hours and 10 minutes. As soon as
it is pretty long, but
okay.
I don't think it drags because it's so weird and interesting. At least I found it interesting.
As soon as you push 2 hours, it's like, you got to earn that fucking runtime. So
again, that's that one. I'll throw it back to you for.
Well, why don't we take a break?
Okay.
Because it's 1:45. Why don't we take a break, go grab something to eat, come back, just do a couple more quick picks?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We'll be back. We're going to grab something to eat. This podcast is sponsored by the fine folks at Fly By Night Movies, Games, and Toys. Fly By Night Movies, Games, and Toys is your one-stop shop for everything cool and collectible. We are located in the heart of downtown Oshawa. That is Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. If you're looking for movies, video games, and toys, check us out. We are worth the drive.
And we're back.
And I say that.
And we're back.
Yeah. Say it like a fucking radio
And
jackass.
we're back.
And welcome back to the Justin and Kevin recently watched hour. Like, fuck off. Fucking asshole. Yeah, you're trying to give it that like radio showmanship.
Yeah.
We just went and had lunch. We went and got some pizzas. It was very good. Yeah, it was pretty good. They fucked up my order.
They did fuck up your order.
We're not going to get into that. We're going to get back to the films, though. You went last. Back to me. I think you went last. I don't know.
I did Saltburn.
Saltburn. That's what it was. All right. Let's see if you've ever heard of this movie.
All right. Lay it on me.
We're traveling back in time to 1981 with Outland.
I've never heard of this.
Okay, well, that's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Okay.
Because you are...
This sounds like a sci-fi.
Oh, absolutely, sci-fi.
Okay, all right.
I will be shocked if by the end of this, you're not incredibly intrigued and dying to watch this movie.
Okay.
All right.
Outland.
So, let me set this up. We'll just bring this up here. So 1981,
it's a good year.
Yes, 80s, as I've said many times, my favorite decade of film. It's early 80s, so it's very, got a little of that 70s vibe to it, still that early 70s. So
early 80s is best 80s.
For you. For me, it's mid to late 80s is my favorite. So it's a sci-fi film starring Sean Connery.
I'm looking at the poster. Sean Connery he appears to be like some sort of police officer, and he's holding a giant shotgun.
Yes, with a backdrop of literally intergalactic space.
Yeah.
So I'll get into the plot here. So Sean Connery plays a federal marshal. The entire film takes place on a mining colony. Here, I'm actually gonna move this so that you don't see. Yeah, because it's gonna spoil shit.
Yeah.
So the entire film takes place on a mining colony out in some far off planet. It's literally, I think, the moon of some planet.
I think it said something about Jupiter.
I think it's one of Jupiter's moons. So this is far off into the future at an undetermined and unspecified date. Okay. We don't know how far into the future. We just know it's so far into the future to the point where man has basically conquered space travel, and we are now stripping planets and satellites and moons for their resources. So there's many companies, one company in particular in this one that is a gigantic organization where it has outposts everywhere on these big mining crews.
Basically Weyland-Yutani from Alien.
Keep that in your mind.
Okay. All right.
Keep that in your mind. And they're at every mining operation, I guess for whatever reason, to maintain law and order, the government actually puts in a federal marshal. So Sean Connery is stationed as a federal marshal. He gets this assignment. He moves him and his family to this mining outpost, this like remote mining outpost. It's not the community like was it Hadley's Hope from Aliens? You know, like that. But that was like actually a community, and it was like they were more like while it was business, they had like children and things like this. This is like literally only like men. There's hardly any women on this.
There's no families there.
No, there's no families. This is just a strictly like mining operation. This is a straight up business endeavor.
Okay. Because I was gonna say this sounds like space, like a new frontier, like a Western almost. Like there's a new sheriff in town.
Exactly.
Like this sounds fucking awesome.
It's very much like High Noon. It's very much like the lawman comes to this area to maintain order. So Sean Connery gets stationed there. The manager of the mining operation is played by Peter Boyle. Can you picture him? He's the father on Everybody Loves Raymond. That's what he's most known for. But he's in a ton of 70s movies. Like Peter Boyle is fucking
Didn't
awesome.
he play Frankenstein? Is that who I'm thinking of? Or
He
is
might
the
have.
grandfather?
He might have at some point.
Look up Peter Boyle for a second for me.
Yeah.
If it's who I'm thinking of from everyone.
He's a great character actor, Peter. This guy.
Yeah, wasn't he Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein?
Click
on him.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, yeah, I think you're right. I got to get his.
That's what I would
IMDb.
know him from if that's the case.
That's a funny pick. Yeah, I think you're right.
He's in Taxi Driver. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, see, Young Frankenstein,
the monster. Yeah.
That's what I know him from. He's the Frankenstein.
Interesting pick. So, great character actor, Peter Boyle. Peter Boyle is our main antagonist in this film.
Awesome.
Because what ends up happening is Sean Connery ends up uncovering a secret drug smuggling ring taking place.
This is a drug movie too?
Taking place in the mining operation.
So we've got space,
Western,
sheriffs like Western, drug smuggling,
80s drug smuggling,
80s like drug smuggling,
sci-fi. Right.
Inject this into my veins.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see this.
Oh, wait till I'm not even at the end.
All right.
So he ends up uncovering this like drug ring and this whole conspiracy, and it turns out that Peter Boyle, who's the manager of the plant, is actually running this drug ring, and he is using his powers to allow, because like product is always coming and going off world from the mining operation, so
he's using the shipping
to smuggle things in. So they basically, the operation is they get drugs smuggled in, and then he has his own little lackeys that distribute and sell drugs to the miners. And what ends up happening at the beginning is several of the miners suffer from psychosis from overusing the drug. After a while, this particular drug makes you go mad.
Okay.
You start seeing things, and there's some heinous deaths in this where like literally one guy like walks out without a spacesuit and just like dies of like literally implodes.
Oh my god, like
total recall style, like exactly, like gnarly, like and like just blows up. Yeah. So we get some of those deaths, and Sean Connery's like, what is going on? Like, how did this happen? And Peter Boyle's like, some guys just can't hack it. It's a hard gig, they go nuts. But in reality, it's because they're doing drugs. Because the drug is basically like a super amphetamine, so it allows you to like overwork yourself. So you can work like for 30 hours straight or some shit to make a ton of money, which is great for the miners, because the miners are all like blue collar guys. But they don't realize that if you abuse it, you end up becoming like
this sounds like 1981, just like condensed into a single film.
You mean like the actual 80s?
Just the politics of it, the whole setting. It's like sci-fi. It's grim and gritty. It's like kind of the tail end of the Western stuff. It's also like
anti-drugs.
The rise of like anti-drug stuff, and then it's like the blue collar, like Paul Schrader type stuff, where it's like the evil corpos are gonna
Peter Boyle. So Peter Boyle, it turns out by the end of the film, this is an old movie, so I'm gonna spoil some shit. Turns out Peter Boyle is not working alone, and he answers to other people that are high up in the organization.
Yeah.
So he is the Burke of this movie, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what it boils down to is it turns into a shoot 'em up where Sean Connery, there's attempts on his life by different hitmen, and then Peter Boyle ends up calling in trained killers to deal with this pesky lawman that won't learn his place, that won't get out of our way.
Does he try to bribe him?
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And Sean Connery is like, the one honest man left on the station, and it turns into more of like it starts out as more of a slow crime procedural and drama, and then turns into more of a bit of a schlocky like action movie by the end. It's very good.
I've never heard of it.
I know, me neither, and that's why when I found it, I was like, this is really cool. And then I did some research, and it gets way more interesting.
Okay.
One of the, I'll say like
it's sort of curious from what you've described at face value. Sounds like super interesting and cool, but like the fact that I haven't ever heard of this is like troubling because it's like, well, why have I not heard of this?
I don't know. Honestly, I wondered if you had heard of if this had come on your radar. And it wasn't on my radar until like I think I literally watched this year. So this was new for me too, where I was looking up like obscure hidden gem 80s movies. Basically.
I've done that thing. You Google through like, like 1980, 1981, like
I have
sci-fi movies and stuff. Like
I have an explanation.
Never come on my radar.
There's a lot that's good in it. The acting is really good. The sets are incredible. The pacing is incredible. It's beautiful. The cinematography is fantastic.
So it's budget. Then.
It's a simple. It is lower budget, but it's all on screen. It's one of those movies. It is a simple, fun movie. It's a good watch. I'm not a huge Sean Connery fan either. To me, it's like I could take him or leave him. It could have been anybody in that role. It's not like he makes the role, but he's good. Everybody's good in this film.
Yep.
It just falls short at a certain point, and that's why you and I had never heard of it. It's a solid 7 out of 10, but it's not. It like never becomes like a 9 out of 10. So that's why it's just not talked about. It's outclassed by so many other films of that era that it just gets forgotten.
So it kind of fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
Then, because I guess that's true. Like around that time period, you could watch Alien or The Thing, or whatever.
There's so much other good stuff.
A million other things
that are like 10 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a really good watch. This is what's most interesting, though. So I said the sets were incredible. They have a very specific aesthetic. The entire movie implements a retro future aesthetic.
Awesome.
So you're familiar with this look.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Your Total Recalls, your RoboCops,
Alien,
and your Alien.
Yeah.
This movie, it has now come to light. The filmmakers basically made an unofficial sidequel to Alien.
Holy shit.
So it basically exists in the Alien world as close as possible without them being sued.
Oh my God. So that's why it's like evil corporations that are smuggling. Like, yeah.
Literally.
Holy shit.
So
is there ties through the production?
So many of the set designers and production staff also worked on Alien. The composer for this film is Jerry Goldsmith, the composer of Alien. and the score is like exactly what you're like. It's like a foreboding like space. It's perfect.
Amazing.
Even down to the font. The credits are like just like
Outland
are exactly like Alien. Like to the point where now you can look this up. Like this has become known now, but people have like video essays on YouTube of like Outland, is Outland a secret alien film? And the answer is yes. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
You're blowing my mind.
It's basically so when I was talking about the sets, all of the sets look exactly like the sets in Alien. It's all like old
retro
CRT
future, like
monitors.
CRTs,
It all has that like low light aesthetic look to it.
Everything looks like dingy and dirty.
Exactly. It's that it's the lived in future is the term I think George Lucas coined. It's that lived in future aesthetic where the sets are just incredible for this. They're so fucking good. It's the highlight of the movie. It looks it looks like you're like, oh, this takes place in the same universe as Alien, like without a doubt. Like
I want to see this so badly.
Even the way it's filmed, it like will pan down long corridors, and the corridors all look like they're just like on the ship from Alien,
like the hexagonal, weird, like creepy corridors.
All the hallways look the same. Even the monitor, like the monitors have like it's like it's like the green font that comes up, like the exactly. It's all, I call it retro future because but it's lived in future. It's that retro aesthetic in the future.
Is futuristic.
But it's futuristic. Yeah.
Another one would be like Blade Runner, which sort of popularized cyberpunk, but that's the same thing. The idea that it's like way far in the future, but everything's gritty and feels lived in and feels real.
Lived in future, yeah.
So
most of a lot of the production staff from Alien worked on this movie, including the fucking composer. And basically, I don't know the whole story. I think I don't know who made the film because I don't believe it was produced by Fox, but I think it was. Like I don't know if they distributed or what. I haven't done a ton of research on it. I did some research into this.
It sounds like someone poached the whole team from Alien. Was like, if you guys want to work on a similar project, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna do a similar.
We're gonna steal the aesthetic in the world, but we're gonna make our own fun little action romp, our space western that just happens to take place in that world.
Is there
So Weyland-Yutani's never named.
No, but
people have speculated that because if you think about it in the future, why would Weyland-Yutani be the only one mining? There'd be other companies. So people speculate that it's just a rival mining operation.
Amazing.
And the other thing, like there's tons of, again, do yourself a favor, folks. If what I'm saying interests you, look up video essays on YouTube.
I will be watching
People have
this.
like 20, 30-minute essays explaining like the thing. One of the other things is there's no time periods given deliberately. So it could easily take place in the same timeline as Alien.
Alien is one of my favorite films. Like I think it's one of the greatest films ever made.
Right.
I will be watching this.
Yeah, so there you go. I don't think I have anything left to say to sell you on it.
I don't need any more.
It's a good time. You will love it for the aesthetic.
For that,
but I think you're gonna see. I think you'll agree with me in that it doesn't quite. It's not an amazing movie. The problem is it might use the world. Like it uses the clothing of Alien, but it doesn't have the guts of Alien. It doesn't have the body. It doesn't have the script. It doesn't have the cast. It's not quite there. But it's still like it's still a phenomenally well made movie. Yeah, and nothing looks like it now. So like I'm gonna tell you right now. Like I knew something was off as soon as I started watching it. I was like,
I'm sure as soon as you booted it up,
I literally was like, literally my first reaction was like, oh wow, it's like a slow burn like Alien. Oh wow, it's like these wide panning shots of like the miners' corridors. That's like Alien. Like literally, there's shots of like you get the barracks of the miners. It looks just like the fucking like where the crew. Yeah,
and you're like, wait a minute.
It's like it looks exactly like the crew on what was the original ship in Alien? It's not the Nostromo, or was it the Nostromo?
Is the Nostromo the first movie or the second?
I know. I always confuse the two because what the hell's the name of the other one?
Look that up.
We should know this.
Nostromo and
we suck.
We suck.
It was the Nostromo. Okay, I got that right.
Yeah, I knew the Nostromo. I don't remember what the other one was.
Yeah, what was the ship in the second one called? Ugh. Oh, okay. Well, whatever. That's fine. No, I know it's buried in our brains somewhere. Let's see. Aliens. The Sulaco.
Oh, okay. Sulaco. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. The Sulaco. Now that I said that's the one that sounds more familiar to me. Yeah, watch Outland. It's good. I'll
be watching it.
You'll like it. Yeah, you'll really like it. I don't think it's worth owning, but it's definitely worth watching. It's
enjoyed watching it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know about that one. Yeah,
I know. It blew my mind, dude. That's why when I looked it up and it was like Outland, the the secret alien film you never knew existed. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Amazing.
It's crazy. I wish there was more shit like that where somebody just took a chance and was like, yeah, I'm going to steal your world, but I'm going to do my own story within that.
Didn't they do that? Isn't there a connection between Alien and like Blade Runner or something like that?
Well, no, people speculate that Alien and Blade Runner are in the same universe, but that's only because Ridley Scott directed both of them.
No, I thought that in productions they left little things
Easter eggs.
I think there's an Easter egg in one of the films.
Yeah, there's Easter eggs
where it's like,
but I mean that's like saying like in Indiana Jones, there's like on the cave wall, there's like R2-D2 and C-3PO on one of the shots. It's like saying like, oh, just Star Wars take place in the same universe as like Indiana Jones. Like, no, it's just they were both directed by George Lucas, so he put little Easter eggs in.
Okay.
Although Alien and Blade Runner, I could 100% believe because they have the same aesthetic.
I think it's a little more concrete than that because I think it's like there's a monitor that is briefly shown, and I think like Yutani is shown on a monitor in like Blade.
I'm pretty sure in the background,
like
I think in the background of one of the shots when it's like showing the street, I think you can see Ellen Ripley actually walk by.
Oh, she actually walks by.
With the entire crew of the Nostromo and like Parker and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the original Alien, one of them even has a line. Once Parker knocks off Ash's head, he's like, "They sent us one of these replicants." Isn't that what he said? Isn't replicant what they're called?
Replicant.
Yeah. Yeah. They sent us a replicant. Do you remember that? He's like, we're going to need a Blade Runner.
Is that your Yaphet Kodo? Or what is that?
Who do you think I'm doing? Yeah, that's Yaphet Kodo. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, who were you?
You did a bad Yaphet Kodo in the last video.
Well, it wasn't. It didn't get any better. Yeah, you're right. I did it in the Nightmare on Elm Street one. That was not bad. Well, you do it. I can't go to his low.
We need to talk about the bonus situation.
We need to talk about the bonus
I don't know.
Situation.
I can't do.
Yeah, exactly. We need to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I admire its purity.
Ian Holmes easy to do. Yeah, he's not hard to do.
The perfect living organism.
So that's Outland. So my next pick is 48 Hours from 1982.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, this is the Eddie Murphy. Yeah, Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte movie.
This is a really famous movie.
Yeah, it is.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I don't recommend you see it.
Really?
I'm about to shit on this movie. It's a buddy cop movie from the 80s. It's Eddie Murphy when he's like, he's becoming a big film star. I don't know when this takes place in relation to Beverly Hills Cop. I think Beverly Hills Cop came out maybe 2 years after this. It's not one of Eddie's biggest movies, but it did fairly well. It got a sequel.
It's very
another
famous,
48 Hours. Fuck this movie.
What?
This movie's not fun. So, movie stars Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte's like the great.
He's Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
I'm the hard as nails cop, and Eddie Murphy is like the wisecracking convict who ends up Nick Nolte begrudgingly teams up with. I should go back.
Well, I know the general plot. Let me see if I can describe it. The general plot is that Eddie Murphy is like a criminal, or like a con man or something.
He's in jail.
And they need his help to solve a case. So he pairs up with Nolte.
Basically, Nick Nolte's partner gets killed at the beginning of the movie by the villain, who's played by James Remar.
Oh, okay.
Can you picture James Remar?
I think so.
It's Dexter's dad in Dexter.
That
actor.
Yeah.
But he was in a ton of shit from this era, and he was a good like scumbag.
Yeah.
So James Remar kills.
They're trying to find the killer.
They're trying to kill the guy, and for whatever reason, Eddie Murphy's character, whose name I don't remember, he has information on that guy. So Nick Nolte's like, look, I'll give you 48 hours to give me some information.
48 hours.
And if you don't have anything, your ass is going back in jail.
Going right back to the slammer.
Right. And then what follows is supposed to be a fun, like, buddy cop movie. Nick Nolte's not likable. Eddie Murphy's likable, but I feel like the tone of this film is way off. It is not fun. It's not funny. A lot of people, it's supposed to be a comedy, but it's like...
Well, is it even listed as a comedy?
It's like needlessly dark. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like action comedy, right. But like the trailer would you watch the show and you're like, oh, this looks like Beverly Hills Cop, but it's not. Beverly Hills Cop is very like slap your knee, like Eddie just chewing the scenery.
I wouldn't have
shit.
thought that this. I've always
No, this is more like a cop crime
like a
drama.
crime drama. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not
What's
fun.
wrong with that?
It's not fun. It's needlessly gritty and like violent, and it's just dark, and it's not fun. Like James Remar is just like evil, and it's just like heinously dark. And so to me, the tone doesn't work at all. I also don't think Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy were a very good pair. I don't think they have very good chemistry together. I don't give a shit about Nick Nolte's character.
But
so I'm
isn't
like,
it sort
sucks.
of isn't it supposed to be like an anti-chemistry? It's like
it's supposed to be like The Odd Couple.
Yeah, The Odd Couple.
Yeah, right.
It's
but
like,
that works. Remember we were talking about Men in Black? It works there, but I'm saying I don't think it worked here. I don't find them.
Right.
I don't find their on-screen chemistry good. I just found it awkward and stiff.
all I've ever heard about the movie is that Eddie Murphy's great in it. And
Yeah,
that he,
right.
like,
But Eddie Murphy
yeah.
was great in everything from that era. Like,
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true.
He's
Yeah.
good in it. Sure. I couldn't get past a 30-minute rule. Tapped out. Watched the first 30 minutes, and I was like,
Isn't
fuck
there a
this
famous
movie.
scene where they go into a bar and then Eddie Murphy like takes his badge and like pretends to be a cop or something, and then
I don't know, and I don't care. I don't think I got to
I think
it.
there's like a famous like racial scene where like he's
Sure.
not getting served at a bar, and then he's like,
Could be.
I don't know.
I didn't
haven't
like the
seen
movie.
it.
I thought tonally it was way off. I didn't find any of the characters interesting. I thought it sucked. I didn't like it.
So you didn't watch 48 Hours? What was the sequel
Another
called?
48 hours?
Another 48
Dude, I would
hours.
rather watch Stakeout with Rosie O'Donnell than watch this, okay? Like,
All right.
it was too dark. It's not fun. Like, it's just, to me, buddy cop movies got to be like half and half. You
What are
can
the
go,
reviews for this? I feel like this is like
it's love.
This is a beloved
Yeah,
film.
by our dads. It's one of those movies.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, our dads love this movie because it's from that era of like, Eddie Murphy can do no wrong. Yeah, he's that funny fucking Eddie Murphy guy. Yeah, I like him.
Nick Nolte, he's cool.
Yeah,
or
but
something
yeah,
like
but I
that,
remember
you
our
know?
parents fucking suck when it comes to like knowing what's good and what's not good for film. I'm gonna throw that out there right now. They have no taste. Their barometers are just way fucking off because they come from an era where like they didn't really get to pick and choose. Things were kind of just spoon fed to them, and then they have nostalgia for all that shit. They didn't really deep dive on any stuff. Whereas now we have the luxury of the internet and the information age where we can literally go for everything. They are just like, oh, the shit I watched as a kid when I was younger, that's the greatest shit there is. Like they never really went through that reflective period of like
You're saying
critically
because stuff was
analyzing
just
shit.
on all the time, so you
Yeah.
only had access to
Right.
like a few things.
Right. So you're just like, oh, Eddie Murphy. Yeah, he was great. Right. So that I guarantee if I called my dad right now and like asked him about this, he'd be like, oh yeah, that was a funny one. It's like, Dad, do you remember one scene in that movie? No. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like he just has a general thought in his head that it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Fuck this movie. I love Eddie
You
Murphy.
heard it here, folks.
No, I like Eddie Murphy when he's used well. I find this movie wastes his time. He had duds out at this time. This is not, it's well liked by like our parents' generation, but it's not revered in like his top 5. You know what I mean? Like of the bangers from that generation.
I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna see what are the top 5 Eddie Murphy
The
movies.
top 5
Top
Eddie,
5
type
Eddie
in
movies.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Well, first I'm gonna look up. Okay, I want to check something.
Trading
here.
Places, I think, is more well regarded.
This
in
had
this
a
movie.
show.
I mean, I'm sure they tried to copy that formula. What are you gonna find?
This is
from
a
this, though?
92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, it's well liked. Yeah. I want you to watch this movie and then tell, because I know you think I'm just being picky.
receives critical acclaim and is considered by many to be one of the best films of 1982,
Blech. Watch it.
marking an auspicious feature film debut of Eddie Murphy. So this is his feature film debut.
That explains why it's so rough.
Is a briskly paced action comedy that succeeds largely due to the outstanding chemistry between its two leads.
Do not have chemistry. Do not have chemistry.
On Metacritic, the film has a score of 71 out of 100. In 2007, the staff at IGN named the movie the third greatest buddy cop film.
Ugh.
The third greatest
That's
ever.
a stretch. It's crap.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I have one thing to say. Watch it.
All right,
Watch it and tell me that I'm wrong. I will
All
be
right.
shocked if you're like, oh, this movie's great. I bet you watch it and go, eh. Because the problem is you've already seen so much better buddy cop films. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it maybe next next video.
Sure. Yeah. I want to watch you squirm in that chair when you have to eat a pile of shit.
Yeah.
When you got to eat a real big spoon of shit and go, it's not that good. Yeah. Watch that and watch Beverly Hills Cop. It's a way more fun movie. I do like find this movie. I don't find this movie fun. It's just like so
Not
dark
has
and
to be
bleak.
Fun, Justin,
yeah, it fucking does. If you're gonna do a serious drama,
sometimes there's cloudy days. Not every day can be just sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. What do you got next? Give me your next stupid pick that you got there.
All right, what do I got? All right, I'll just continue the train with brand new stuff because this is like a brand new episode for me. Everything I've watched like basically came out last month.
Can you please tell me about something that you watched that didn't come out like a month ago?
No.
Can we get any picks from I don't know, maybe like the 90s or the 80s? Or
I do have
your fucking
have one.
Fucking favorite decade, 1970 whatever.
You want me to go 90s? I have one from the 90s.
No, go with your new pick.
All
I don't
right.
even fucking care.
I watched. I don't even fucking care. Yeah.
Forgot I was mic'd up on that. You're not supposed to hear when I trail off. Stupid high quality audio equipment. All right, what do you got? What'd you watch?
All right, I watched The Boy and the Heron.
Oh, I don't want to talk about anime. I don't want to listen to you gush about Miyazaki. Are you going to gush about it?
It's a masterpiece.
Wait, hold on a sec. Are you going to gush about it?
Yes.
For fuck's sake. I have nothing to say. I'm going to stop talking. I'm not going to.
We don't even really need to talk about it. Just it's amazing. It's a Miyazaki film. It's a Studio Ghibli film.
End that debate right now. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli?
I will go with Ghibli. I'll say Ghibli.
Oh, I think it's Ghibli. Well, the debate continues.
All right. It's great. Go see it if you're interested in really, really good animated films.
Can I just cut in for? Hold on.
I don't want to talk about it because it's fantastic. It's very good.
Let me cut in for a second.
It's too new.
We should let me cut in for a second. Let me just say, because this has been a heated debate between us. I don't like Ghibli movies.
Why is that?
Because I find they're just they never catch my attention. I find they're just a little too for kids.
Magic and wonderment,
right?
And the beauty of humanity and nature.
Hold on,
doesn't
let me get my. I know. See, this is where you let me say my piece.
All right.
They're not made for adults. They're made for a child. They have a child wonderment. They have adult.
I wouldn't say that's true.
Let me say my piece, damn it. They have adult elements. They have dark elements to them, but I find for the most part, they're very like a child wonderment, whimsical. They're whimsical. And I don't really like whimsical child wonderment movies. I like some Disney movies. Well, I mean, let's be clear. Miyazaki is the Japanese Walt Disney. It's without a doubt. It's like to the point where Disney distributes all the newer Miyazaki releases. Like all that shit.
I guess so.
It's all under their banner. It's Japanese Disney, which is totally fine. But I find very rarely do I want to watch that kind of stuff. I find very rarely does that stuff appeal to me. I'm not really into the whimsical child wonderment aesthetic, and I find a lot of them are like that. Now, a lot of these movies are like adult characters, and those ones also suck because they're just not fun. They're just like boring, dry movies. So I've just never been much of it. I respect the fuck out of him. The animation is always god tier. They are gorgeous movies. I just find they never hook me. Like for whatever reason, they just don't hook me enough. That's what it is. Yeah.
Are you done digging that hole?
I'm allowed to feel what I want to feel. And
have you finished digging your grave?
One of the biggest things that annoys me is like everybody fucking likes this guy, so you got to like him too. Where it's like, oh, you like anime, so you must love Miyazaki. It's like, nah, not really, actually. And then people just, don't invite you to parties.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good. I don't want them to.
I don't think it's above total criticism, but I think it's undeniable that like many of their productions are like absolutely fantastic.
Just because they're well made doesn't mean they interest me. That's what I'm saying. I can appreciate them for what they are, but I find they never hook me. I never find them very interesting. I get bored every time.
Let me ask you this. Which ones have you seen?
I've seen Mononoke. I've seen Ponyo. I've seen Totoro. I've seen Porco Fuckface, whatever
Porco
it is.
Rosso.
Yeah, the Michael Keaton one. because I watched the dub on that one for some reason. I might have been the only way I could find it. And I've seen name some other ones. I've seen maybe one other one. I've seen enough where I'm like, whatever. Oh, Call of the Wind, the flying one.
Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind.
I've seen Nausicaa. Yeah, I've seen Nausicaa.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
No, I haven't watched that one.
Spirited Away.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen that one. Yeah.
So you've seen quite a few.
Yeah, I have. And that's the thing, because I always watch them. Like, I'm going to end up watching this, but I just know it's not going to end up in my collection. I'm going to watch it and go, that was really well made. That's exactly what's going to happen. It doesn't. They never hook me for whatever reason. They all have a sameness to them that they just never hooks me. I don't know why.
What is it like?
Not having a soul. I just don't feel the feelings that they want me to say.
When a human being like hugs you, do you feel like?
Well, I feel the pressure.
You feel like
I feel their
like
touch.
The touch of another human being, or like
Hey, you can shake my hand and you're gonna feel a pressure and you're gonna feel the connection.
There is an idea of Justin Ashley.
Yeah, right. You might assume that we have very similar interests and tastes in anime, but I want to be very clear.
I'm simply
not there. Yeah. So all right, go ahead and gush.
No, I don't think there's any need to. I think it's a culmination of like everything they've done in a way. Like in terms of the movie, it's exactly what you'd expect.
What is his involvement with these movies at this point? Because I thought the man retired like 10 fucking years ago.
He's been retiring for like 30 years.
Yeah, so like that's another thing that annoys me is these guys that are like, no, I'm done. And then it's like, okay, I'm working on a new one. Like, you said you were done, motherfucker. Let somebody new come into the fray. You already made 10 masterpieces. You don't need to make 11.
Yeah. It's interesting. There is certainly an element of that. Like, it's like, this feels like a capstone on everything because it's little pieces of every movie they've ever made. It feels like rolled into one. So, yeah. If you don't like all the other movies they've done, you probably not.
No, it's not for me. Yeah. It's not for me. I know it. All right, well, let's go from one anime.
The Boy and the Heron, a masterpiece, beautiful film that Justin will not watch.
That everyone... No, I'm going to watch it. Okay. I'm just not going to like it. It's like, I'll eat my Brussels sprouts, Mom, but I don't like how they taste.
Yeah, all right.
I'll watch the good, critical anime. Let's go from one animated feature to another.
Sure. Okay.
I rewatched Up.
Oh, okay.
From 2009, the Pixar masterpiece.
Okay.
Holy!
See, now I get to be the snob.
I know. Now you get to be the snob about this.
I've never seen Up.
What? You've never even seen it?
No. I don't care.
I love the fact that you just shit on me so hard for not being a fan of Miyazaki films. Meanwhile, one of the greatest 3D animated, let's just animated
whatever.
One of the greatest critically acclaimed animated films ever made. You haven't even seen it.
No.
Is that because is that your bias because it was a Pixar production?
Yes.
See, that's
I generally don't give a shit about Pixar.
And I'm going to agree with you from the last 10 years. I agree with you. But I think that early decade and a half of Pixar.
Bring up Pixar because I want to see.
Dude, they were knocking it out of the park for quite a while. And Up to me is like the culmination of that was them at their top.
They did.
That might have been when they peaked.
They were WALL-E, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's another one people say it was like
it's great.
The peak one.
Yeah, WALL-E's fantastic.
It's all right.
Yeah, you have no heart. That's fine. I have no soul. You have
We're
no
the
heart.
Exact opposite.
The exact opposite. Yeah.
You with Miyazaki and Ghibli, you're like, oh, whatever. And me with
Pixar, you're like, nah, whatever. Yeah. So, okay. I rewatched Up. Basic premise for the 2% of goblins out there that don't know.
I know it's an old man that.
Just let me get to it. Okay.
All right.
Starts.
Wait, okay, motherfucker.
No.
I get
to say everything.
Said that you don't you're like, it's too kiddie, it's too childish.
Right.
Like Miyazaki and Ghibli films are just for children.
They are. They have a child whimsical bullshit.
What would you say is the audience for this?
Child whimsical.
And that's the episode, folks.
Well, it's different. God damn it. It doesn't hit the same. I don't know why. Miyazaki's shit never hits right for me, but Pixar, they don't
So
all.
you're going to tell me about how you love this whimsical
Yes,
children's...
it is a masterpiece. It's beautiful. I love this film. So this was a rewatch. The first time I watched it was when it came out.
Okay.
I, like everyone else, had the same reaction. I watched it, I cried, and I went, that was really good. And then I've never rewatched it since it came out. It came out in 2009.
Oh,
so we're talking 13 years ago. I guess, yeah, now 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Is my math wrong? No, 14 years ago. 14 years ago when I watched it. Yeah. So now 15 years ago, because it's 2024. Oh, yeah, we didn't even comment on that. Hello and welcome to 2024. We're in the because we started this show in 2023.
That's true.
We survived
a whole year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if we start.
Well, it's only a couple months.
It's been a couple. Whatever. No, but we should comment on the fact that it's a new year. This is actually the first podcast of Two Name Media for 2024.
Nice.
So congratulations, you're on the very first one, and you're already setting us off on a course of shit. Take your fucking bow.
All right, tell me about this whimsical children's film.
Okay, so if you want, you can get back to your plot of the boy in the harem.
My whimsical children's film?
Yeah. Okay. You can get back to The Boy Does Heroin or whatever the fuck that yours is called. What was it called?
The Boy and the Heron.
The Boy and his harem of women.
Yes.
Is that what it's about? See, I'd watch that. Okay.
More like up my ass. Actually, this movie's pretty good.
Yeah? Is that what it's called? Fucking animal. Jesus Christ. Okay.
All right.
So, you fucker. So, yuck it up. Enjoy it. Party for one over there. God. Okay. So, basic premise of Up is it starts off with one of the most beautifully animated and perfectly executed openings of all time.
I knew about this, yeah.
The opening is incredible.
It's very famous. Yeah.
They should show this opening. If you want to test for serial killers and sociopaths, they should make them watch this opening, and if you're not welling up by the end of this, it's like a 5-minute intro, and we get from childhood to old age this couple's love story. It's Carl and his wife Ellie.
Okay.
And they meet as children, and they become friends. And then as young adults, they date each other and become lovers. And then as actual adults, they get married and they build a home together. And tragedy exists. They have a very simple life. It's very like suburban lifestyle, ideal American dream, whatever you want to call it. But they have tragedy. Ellie can't have children, which is a very heartbreaking moment. The entirety of this sequence is done without dialogue. It is the perfect example of show, don't tell. They just show you these scenes and you know exactly what's happening. The moment when they're in the doctor's office and he's just reading a thing to them, and you know that Ellie wants children because they show that. They show that that's what's on her mind. They actually, I believe they make like a children's crib or something too.
Of course, yeah.
But it's perfect. It's like you can be a cynical cunt about it, but like I swear to God, that opening is perfect. Like I every time it hits so hard because it's just so like they make you instantly like these characters because they feel real. And then they punch you in the gut because they then subject these cartoon characters to the realities of actual life and the hardships of life.
You're just describing Studio Ghibli films right now.
We have children, we have old age, we have loss.
Yeah.
And that is the very end of this montage, this sequence of shots ends with Ellie dying.
Yeah.
And that's when you're going to be fucking bawling. And now,
I've heard that's like a huge tear-jerking.
It's just it's like a punch to the stomach. And then now we're left with Carl, who starts off at the beginning in these flashbacks as this happy-go-lucky, like plucky, like smiling kid. And now we flash forward, and he is a jaded, miserable old man who is alone, and he has lost the love of his life. And he is now grieving, and he hates the world, basically. And he's literally tucked in this little eccentric house in the middle of a construction zone because they wanted to redevelop the area, and he was the only one that wouldn't sell his property.
Yeah.
So it's like cartoonishly done, but he's in the middle of a construction zone.
And so he won't let go because it's part of the memories of his wife. And that kind of thing.
He now rejects the world and does his own thing. He is voiced by Ed Asner.
Who's that?
Fucking monster. Let me look this up. Ed Asner, this guy. Okay. He's a famous actor. He was in a ton of shit. You don't recognize Ed Asner at all?
Not really.
Really? He's in lots of stuff.
He looks like the character.
He's an old timey. Yeah, he does. Because he was like, I think he was 80 when he recorded this. This is one of his last roles.
Oh wow.
Was this?
Okay.
Yeah. Ed Asner voices the titular Carl. Ed Asner's performance is incredible. It's one of the best voice acting performances ever. They like exactly what you just said, where you said like he looks like the character. He is the character.
He like is that character.
Like he has the perfect voice for a hard ass, like grumpy old man. But he also has the voice for when he wants to show you affection. You know that there's a heart of gold in there. It's that, and that's his character.
There's a complexity and like a depth to his
performance is so good. It's so nuanced. And what ends up happening is we get a cartoonish plot where Ed Asner rejects the world, and he has this plan where there's this magical destination, like magical place called Paradise Falls. And him and Ellie always wanted to travel there while she was still alive, and he never got a chance to go there. He's miserable in his life, and he's like, I need a fresh start. I'm going to go to... That's where happiness is. It's at Paradise Falls.
This is a MacGuffin destination that he's
That's where I'm going.
This is where I need to go.
So his plan is to... And the construction company, an incident happens, and they're actually trying to put him into a home. So he's like, fuck that. I'm getting out of here. So he actually... Is
that what he says?
He actually says, like, fuck that. This is a hard R Pixar movie. Shut the fuck up and let me tell you about my whimsical fucking Disney Pixar picture. You fucking asshole.
So he says, fuck that.
says, all right. Fuck all you cunts. I'm going off on this adventure. No, so he fills his house up with balloons, giant balloons, and the balloons literally lift his house up, and he rigs up the house to where the balloon basically becomes the house becomes like an airship controlled by balloons.
Yeah.
It is cool.
So he can control it. So he's flying it to this destination.
Yep. He's flying the balloon. He's basically created like a giant hot air balloon that he's able to manipulate, but it's his house.
Okay.
He inadvertently ends up taking on a passenger. There's this adorable little boy, this chunky little boy.
I was going to ask. I have seen the little... He's like a Cub Scout?
Chunky little like Cub Scout, Boy Scout, Cub Scout, whatever you call him, named Russell. And Russell is this adorable, chunky little kid that is trying to earn all of his badges. And the last badge he needs is helping the elderly. And he decides that Carl is going to be the elderly person he's going to help.
Okay.
Much to the chagrin of an annoyance of Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Carl doesn't like this guy because at this point, Carl just hates everybody, right? He's just a miserable fuck. And he doesn't want to let anybody in. Like, he's closed off to the world.
So did this kid,
the boy
snuck into the house?
No, so the boy was on his porch when the house took off.
Yeah.
And then... So he's in the air, and then Carl hears the doorbell ring, and he's like, what the fuck? And then he opens the door, and then...
Is that what he says? What the fuck?
I swear to fucking God, folks. I swear to God, we're going to have a new co-host You wait till the next episode. Mark Skews will be in that fucking slot. Actually, why don't I just put this out to the community? Would you like to be on a show? Would you? Do you like talking about movies and TV shows? Are you not an annoying, snarky asshole? Like, you fucking asshole. Just anything I say, all because I wouldn't let you talk about your fucking thing. I'll let you talk about it.
It's funny.
I'll let you talk about your fucking thing.
No.
I mean,
This is more fun.
Yeah, yuck it up. Just you wait. Next pick's yours, motherfucker. That's what this show's gonna turn into. It's called fucking with the other person while he's trying to talk about their pick.
All right, so he rings the doorbell.
Yeah. So he inadvertently ends up taking Russell on this adventure, much to his annoyance. Along the way, we meet a couple other colorful characters. So Paradise Falls is basically just like this weird land forgotten to time where there's like bizarre plant life and some bizarre creatures exist in this. Yeah.
So after they're in the air, like, do they interact with any other characters? Because they're just floating through the sky.
Right.
So they must not meet people till they make it there.
They don't meet anyone. Yeah, no, right.
Okay, so do they kind of like skip through that and then all of a sudden they're at this place?
No, they're in the air for a little bit, but not a ton.
Okay.
That's a very minor.
Because I would have thought it would be the whole journey was just to make it there at the very end.
The
of
majority of the film takes place at Paradise Falls.
Oh, okay.
The majority.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the majority takes place.
I would have thought it would be like they're traveling, then they crash, and then something else happens. Like I thought that was like
some other shit happens. I'm not going to spoil everything, but
okay. So they do make it to.
They make it to Paradise Falls. They end up befriending a large, giant bird who Russell names Kevin.
Oh, okay.
So you're in this film.
I'm in this film.
Yeah, big dumb bird, exactly like what they based it right off the character model right
nailed
here.
It.
Yeah, they absolutely nailed it. They befriend a talking dog named Doug. Doug has some sort of weird science fiction collar that allows him to. It translates like it allows him to speak, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's some like nonsense.
This is fantastical.
Yeah, it's a fantastical thing, right? And slowly over the course of the film, Carl opens up to. So at first he just hates everybody. He's annoyed by. He's being a grump the entire time. Meanwhile, like this cast of buffoons that are with him, are just.
They're all having fun and like enjoying
and Carl's basically just the odd man out being like, oh God, I got to get away from these people, right?
Yeah.
And he slowly warms up and begins to like his fellow comrades. He begins to open his heart and opens up about himself. They slowly bond together. And I'm not going to reveal the main conflict and antagonist in this film because it kind of comes out of nowhere. But when it's clever. It's very clever. It's a very good antagonist that is a foil. Maybe not, foil is the wrong word. The antagonist is very similar to Carl.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm not going to reveal it. But they're both very similar. And they played that perfectly. It is a interesting villain. He's not just a one-note villain. And I don't want to get into anything else in the plot because you've never seen this.
No, I haven't seen it.
It is perfectly paced. It is a wonderful story. It has a perfect balance of tear-jerking and heart-wrenching and just fun and goofy. Like, they never let, like, there are several, okay, so I cried like a fucking bitch during this movie. Like, I cried like 5 times. So there's several moments that are just going to hit you. They come up randomly. But the movie's really smart about like, okay, we can't just have kids crying the entire time watching this thing. We got to balance it. So it never lingers on the tear-jerking moments for too long. It always gives you some bit of levity where you're like, okay, thank God I can laugh again.
Yeah.
Like it.
So they handle that delicately.
They handle it very well. Surprisingly, one of the things I found was it's very funny. Like the humor in this lands really good. Like Russell being this like naive, he's not stupid, but he's just like, he acts just like a kid. Yeah. But he's not an annoying kid per se, but but like they pair that with the grumpy old man and it works so well here. They play off each other so well. The timing in this movie is great. for the comedic bits. It's very cute and funny at the same time. It's like Pixar usually nails the humor.
Yeah, they usually do a good job.
Yeah, like say what you will about the I know you don't really like the Disney Pixar stuff, but the humor is usually pretty spot on.
Oh yeah, in terms of
it's clever.
The plot and the pacing and the humor and all that stuff is usually top notch.
The only other thing I have to say about it, I'm just going to gush, is the animation's incredible. Like it's like it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous animated picture. The character designs are perfect. It's phenomenal. Honestly, it's phenomenal. It's going.
It
seems
like there's a lot of creativity for like a fantastical.
Yeah, it's really
place
good.
That they visit.
It's really good. I'm shocked you've never seen it, but then now I forgot that you're kind of jaded towards the Disney like Pixar machine.
Yeah, I don't.
Isn't that weird? It's just like I'm kind of for what, but see, I will at least watch the Miyazaki stuff. I just don't tend to like it. It doesn't tend to like. I appreciate it. I still watch them.
Yeah,
but you are more jaded in that you think they're all kind of just whatever factory made or some shit.
Yeah, just like the 3D animation, I'm not as huge of a fan of.
Me neither. 2D is the way to go.
Yeah,
I agree.
I prefer like 2D and then like hand drawn stuff,
Yeah.
or like I don't know. That's just like the aesthetic that
Give up a chance. Give it a chance.
I will.
Might,
yeah,
it's not like something stupid like Cars. Like it's not that crap.
Yeah,
it's like this
yeah.
has shit to say. You know, like
Yeah.
Up and Wall-E. That was from the era where like they were firing on all cylinders. Like I'll bring up Pixar's filmography here for a second. We can go through it because a lot of them, like they have a lot of duds. Don't kid yourself.
They do have a lot of like. I mean, they're.
But they also have like a lot of masterpiece films.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. Like like how do you feel about the Toy Story movies? We've never really talked about those. Like I love those movies.
I grew up watching like 1 and 2. I think I've seen 3. I don't think I've seen 4.
Yeah.
Is there 4?
They're working on it right. Oh, Toy Story 4?
Yeah.
No,
There is 4. Okay.
They're working on 5. Sorry, they're working on 5.
Okay.
Yeah. 4 is pretty good actually.
Monsters Inc. is a classic.
Finding Nemo is beloved. I never liked it much, but it's beloved.
Yep.
The Incredibles, I never liked it much, but
haven't
it's
seen
beloved.
Cars.
I couldn't even finish it. I thought it was pretty crap.
I only saw Ratatouille like a year or 2 ago.
I've never seen it. It didn't intrigue me.
It's fun.
It's
cool.
it's fun. It's all right.
Wally's
the one that you don't really like. Wall-E? It's on my rewatch list because when I first watched it, I was like, but I think it was just a little too smart. And then now I want to watch it again and see if I would appreciate more, like filmically. Up is a masterpiece.
For whatever reason, I just never saw. Toy
Story 3 is really good.
I didn't see that until like a few years ago. I've never seen Cars 2.
This is where to me it starts to get kind of shit.
I've never seen Brave.
Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University, a derivative of the original. Inside Out was pretty good.
I never saw that.
It had some good moments. Good Dinosaur,
I've never seen.
Finding Dory,
I've never seen.
Cars 3, shit. Coco's really good.
Coco is very good.
Coco's
I do really
very
like
good.
Coco.
Yeah. But see, this is where there's.
I think Coco's the best thing they've done.
But they're if you like Coco, you'll probably love Up because it has that same level of humanity in it, and that's what makes it special. It perfectly nails like the human condition. What Up does so well is it expertly handles the serious subject matter of loss and grief and makes it palatable and digestible for a child.
Yeah.
But it also
but
it doesn't make it any less impactful for adults watching it.
Again,
that's the theme of this. That's one of the major themes of this is Carl is struggling with loss, grief, and depression. He is stuck in a funk and he believes his life is basically over. And by the end of the movie, he realizes that if you're still living, there's still life left to be lived.
Yeah.
It's up to you how you want to handle it.
Point out that many of the sound bites of the things you're saying could just be cut out and could be in reference to Studio Ghibli films.
So Miyazaki has gone on record stating none of the themes that I
about
just
humanity
said exist in his films.
You can condense the humanity in and it works for children too because it's like teaching.
So
them
the cool thing about
like,
just fucking get to your next pick, you fucking asswipe. God, this is the argument hour here at Tune Media Studios. What do you got? What's your next pick?
So to finish off, this is going in your collection.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What other Pixars do you have? Like, real quick, because we have it up. Like, do you have other Pixars
I only own,
that are in the collection?
Yeah. Okay. So ones that are collection worthy. It's like, and by collection worthy, I mean films that are infinitely rewatchable and worth physically owning on your shelf, which is how I interpret it.
Because I have Coco, and I think
I don't have Coco.
Maybe
I don't have
Toy
Coco.
Story.
I have Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. I think that's a perfect trilogy. And I have the Now Up. That's it. I don't own any of the other ones.
No.
I don't really...
Monsters Inc.? No?
I think they're all really good. I just don't think they're amazing. And if you're going to be animated, you got to be amazing to end up on my shelf. You know, like you got to me, that's a very high bar. There's so much animated shit out there, like in general. True. Dude, do you have Shrek in your collection?
Oh, absolutely. Shrek is awesome.
Do you have that in your collection?
I don't think I actually do,
I was
but
saying
I would.
that ironic. Really?
Shrek's awesome. It's hilarious. Iconic.
It's so dated.
It's
so dated and annoying at this point.
That one's like the nostalgia.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
It's like it's become larger than itself. Shrek is
to the point where I don't like it now. Where it's not. It got bloated so big and became like infinitely quoted. And
oh yeah,
it made me not like it. That's the thing. Is it became too popular. Yeah.
Because other people enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah. If you like it, I don't like it. But no, I don't own any of the other Pixar movies. Oh. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but I don't think a lot of them are worth owning. But Up is now officially in my collection. If you're animated, it's got to just hit me just right for where I want to keep rewatching it. You know? Yeah. I love the Toy Story movies for sure, and now Up. But there's a couple of them on my rewatch list that I just haven't got around to. WALL-E's on my rewatch list.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it in years.
I'm trying to think what else. I've actually never seen Ratatouille. Like, there's a couple of these I just also haven't seen too, but
there's a lot of them that
I just didn't really give a shit about. I mean, I think a more interesting list is the DreamWorks animated feature list, like with like Ice Age and Shrek, but they did other crap. Yeah. They did other shit that was like not memorable at all, like other one-off.
I don't think I could name any of them.
You know who's a better animated fucking studio is Leica. You know Leica? They did the stop motion. They did Coraline. They did.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Paranorman. All that. I don't think I've
seen Paranorman.
Oh, it's great.
Coraline's great.
Paranorman's great too. Yeah, it's a good time. That might end up. That's actually on my rewatch list. Is Paranorman. What's your next pick? I got one more left.
All right,
we're at the 3-hour mark, folks. We're going into overtime on recently watched.
I'll do one more.
We typically on this show try to only do 2 hours because we feel that if we give you fuckers any more than 2 hours, you're going to be greedy and not appreciate it. And
okay. You earlier
didn't even comment on that. You're just like, whatever.
Earlier in this podcast, you asked me if I had anything older from the 90s. So I do. I watched a horror movie from the 90s called The Faculty.
Ah, it sucks. Go ahead. Okay.
So you've seen.
I want to be clear about something, but between the two of us, would you agree? I'm the horror guy out of the two of us.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're much more the horror person.
I am definitely the horror guy out of the two of us. There's not many horror films you can bring up that I haven't already seen.
No. Bring up The Faculty.
I will. Yeah, I know exactly the fucking movie you're talking about.
This is, I want to say 97, 98, maybe even 99.
I think it's 98. I think it's 98.
And it is...
Oh, it's scary. I knew that. 1998.
It's Elijah Wood, I think, is the lead student.
No, the lead student's Josh Hartnett. Yeah, Josh Hartnett.
Scroll down a bit.
Josh Hartnett's the one that's on all the posters.
No, but it is Elijah Wood.
Oh, he's in it.
Yeah, he's one of the main characters.
Yeah, he's definitely in it. Josh Hartnett's the one that was. He's a main guy on the poster.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Josh, I thought of this movie more as the Josh Hartnett one.
Really? Interesting.
I've only seen it once.
It's directed by Robert Rodriguez directed it, which is weird.
That is a weird. He's got a weird resume though. I actually didn't know he okay, so I've seen this once, probably 15 years ago when I
watched it like earlier this year because it was just on one of the streamers, and we were like,
that's the question I have.
The reason we watched it.
Why the fuck would you watch this?
Because I was scrolling by, and ironically, the streamer was advertising more that it was Elijah Wood. Like, it had a big image of his face rather than Josh Hartnett. And I was like, oh, Elijah Wood is in like a mid-90s horror movie. So I was like, that's intriguing. And I was like, it's Robert Rodriguez, too. He has like a weird filmography. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance. It's... Go
ahead. What's the basic plot of The Faculty?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So basically, the faculty of a high school come into contact with like an alien organism that I believe falls from a meteorite or something like that. I actually can't remember. But an organism that they find, I think, on the football field, and it's like the football coach comes into contact with it and gets infected. And it's sort of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, but at a high school, but contained within a high school.
I think part of the idea of this movie is that it pays homage to a bunch of classic sci-fi and horror movies, but not really like in your face. It's just sort of like similar concepts, but just repurposed into like a 90s package. And that's the idea of it. So it's like a Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it's the teachers at the high school. And then they become like a collective weird hive mind that's slowly trying to infect the other teachers. And then I think they want to take over the town. And so that's a very generic cliche sci-fi concept of a secret group of people that are infected that want to take over. Elijah Wood and Josh Hartnett. Elijah Wood's like the nerd. Hartnett's the drug dealing, like jaded 90s kid.
Yep. You got it.
And they uncover the plot with the help of another girl and a couple friends and like a bunch of misfits.
It's one of those things where it's
like a breakfast club.
Exactly. It's a bunch of the misfit characters from the school suddenly uncover that like, oh, something's off with the teachers and like we got to uncover this, but nobody believes us. It's like it's one of those fucking things. And then, so we got to do this ourselves because no one's gonna help us.
Yeah, and then it's even meta where they're in the library and they're like, what could possibly be causing this? And again, it's a group of misfit kids, and one of the girls is like a sci-fi nerd. Like she's like well read on sci-fi classics, and she's like, this sounds like H.G. Wells or something like that. And she describes something and they're like, yeah, it could be that. So even in the movie, it's self-referential to the fact that this is like a sci-fi concept. And then, it's just the plot plays out as them trying to solve it and fight off the aliens. The alien infects one of their friends, and then she becomes like the hive queen or something of the aliens. I don't know. What did you think of this movie?
I always thought it was a big bag of meh. So among horror fans, the 90s are generally regarded as one of the worst eras.
Oh,
so the 80s, most horror fans say is the best. Then after that, I would say it's like 70s / maybe 2000s. Some people like really classic horror, like black and white era and like 40s, 50s. But I find that tends to like Universal Monster era.
Oh, yeah.
But I find that tends to not get a lot of love these days. But the 90s in general is regarded as like one of the worst eras of horror. It's like, there's a few standouts that people like. There's pockets, like
Scream.
Well, Candyman is 1990, but it's basically just an 80s movie. I mean, they made it in the fucking 80s, just got released in the 90s.
Yeah.
Scream is like one of the standouts, but there's a lot of derivative shit in the 90s where they did derivatives of the stuff that was from the 80s.
This sounds like that then, because it sounds like
it is
a
repackaged. Exactly.
It's like a repackaged version of other tropes and plots from prior decades.
Right.
In like a cynical 90s package. And I want to point that out because this movie feels very like cynical and weird because all the kids are kind of jerks to each other.
Right.
Like you don't really get a sense that they're teaming up and forming friendships. They're all kind of like they're really cruel to each other.
It's not like the Monster Squad where it's just a bunch of kids that like genuinely feel like a real friend group.
Yeah,
and
they're all
you
very
want to root for them.
They're all very bitter.
They're all just like
angry,
cynical, like asshole teenagers. Yeah.
It's very cutting. Like they insult each other a lot, and like it's like, oh, these people don't seem like they would actually be friends,
right?
If it wasn't for this fantastical plot happening.
I thought I watched this like years ago, I think when I was doing a deep dive on 90s horror movies, being like, is there anything good in this era? Like just trying to, watch all that shit. And the answer is no. There's not much really good that came out of that era for horror.
Yeah.
There's exceptions, but I remember it just being kind of generico, whatever plot. It doesn't do anything outstanding. It doesn't do anything terrible, but it doesn't do anything outstanding. And that kind of summarizes 90s horror. A lot of it is just solid 6 out of 10s across the board.
Yeah,
because all of it is just derivatives of the decade that came before. Like there's almost no originality in the 90s.
Because this movie isn't like bad. It's not.
No,
it's
and it actually, and a lot of people like it. It's not like it reminds me of like The Craft is another example, or as I call it, The Crap. No, but The Craft is another one that has a lot of love, but I think it's shit. I don't think it's good at all. But it's not terrible. It's just mediocre, but people love it for whatever reason. Like, you know, it got its own cult following because it has that whole goth girl vibe, which is hot again now.
Yeah,
like the whole Wednesday Addams shit.
I think there's a goth girl in this movie too.
Oh, probably.
Also, Jon Stewart plays one of the faculty.
That's kind of funny.
Infected. Yeah, it's kind of fun to see him.
Yeah, it's kind of fun cameo.
He's like the science teacher.
Before he became like Jon Stewart.
Before he became like huge. And he's kind of like, we need to investigate this. And then I think he gets infected and has like a crazy death scene.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. But other than that, yeah, you're right. It feels derivative. It feels sort of like angsty and 90s cynical. Like the one kid's like dealing drugs. And that's how they solve it is they use the compound of the drugs that he's mixing because it like kills the aliens somehow. It's also the actual mechanics of how they defeat the aliens is kind of janky. But other than that, that's the faculty. To go back to what you were saying about 90s horror, I'm not a horror hound like you, but I would also agree with that. And I would also say it feels like the turning point for 90s was like the late 90s with like Blair Witch and stuff like that. It wasn't until that where
well, that's 99. Blair Witch
that's 99.
It's the end of the era.
Okay, so that was like the new thing that came out of the 90s then was like, what's it called?
Found footage.
Found footage, yeah. But before that, so you've got most of the decade is sort of like a wasteland from the sounds of it.
there's pockets, but so much of it just aped that 80s golden era, you know, like you get little like top
Jacob's Ladder. That's from the 90s.
Exactly. But that's an exception. Like most of it is like From Dusk Till Dawn, where it's like, yeah, it's okay, but it's no fucking Lost Boys. Like if you want to talk about better, superior vampire films,
vampires, which you
get you get shit like vampires, and there's just so much meh in the 90s. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer is just
never seen that.
That series is just aping the 80s slasher movies, but they're nowhere near as good. They're not very gory. They don't have a fun killer. It's the same formula, but it had already been perfected. So you're not bringing anything new to it.
Aren't there some Nightmare on Elm Street movies in the 90s though?
Yeah, most of them suck. No, literally, most of them suck.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them suck because like New Nightmare was like 95 or something. It's one of my least favorite ones. And Freddy's Dead, I think, is like 92 or 93.
So all the big franchises are also on a downturn.
They were wrapping up.
Like Friday the 13th,
good ones were
Nightmare on Elm
wrapping up.
Street,
Halloween,
they're all sort of...
They were all wrapping up. They were all getting to like their 6th and 7th entry by that point. Yeah. It's not a good era. Yeah, it's not a good era. Like here, you want to go on this? Hold on a sec. Top 90s horror films.
Okay.
Let's see what the internet collectively agrees are the top horror films of the 90s. All right. What do we got here?
This is Rotten Tomatoes.
This is Rotten Tomatoes list of 100. You're getting a bonus here, folks. We're going way over time. This is top 100 90s horror films. Silence of the Lambs. Yes.
Yeah.
Masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. Although you could argue it's a thriller and not.
It almost you could say it's a thriller.
It's more it's more thriller than a horror film, but it's got horror elements.
Have horror elements.
Arachnophobia. I'm shocked that.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you've never even heard of that with Jeff Daniels?
No.
It's solid. It's the spider movie.
The spider movie.
Well, because arachnophobia, right?
Yeah.
It's this fear of spiders.
8-Legged Freaks.
No, that's 2000s, and that's also shit. Misery's really good.
Oh, Misery's
Misery's fantastic.
Kronos is very good.
Kronos is good.
Yeah.
Dead Alive is a good fun time, but
never seen Dead Alive.
It's a gore fest. Tremors is amazing.
Is it a horror though?
Yeah. Is Jaws a horror movie?
I guess
it's land
like a creature.
Jaws. Yeah, it's a creature. Right. That's you mean horror?
But Tremors is like corny and silly, and I don't know.
Okay, you could argue it's a horror comedy. It's still horror.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still horror for sure. Blair Witch.
That should be number one.
Sixth Sense. It's very good.
Yep.
Solid.
I've never seen Audition.
But that's Japanese. I'm trying to go more. Well, I'll count it. It's in the 90s, but I'm trying to go more North American. Screams, the series. Candyman, as I said. New Nightmare can suck my dick.
Dracula. The Coppola Dracula.
Oh, it's so bad.
I mean,
it's just, it has so many cool things in it, but it's just so bad.
I don't think it's bad as a whole. I just think Keanu Reeves'
It's ruined by,
and
Winona Ryder. I've never heard of some of these. Jacob's Ladder. Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 is fucking awesome. Does not get enough love. Sleepy Hollow, as I just talked about. Funny enough. That's 99.
People
Under the Stairs. That movie's okay. It's not one of Wes Craven's best. I'm skipping. Oh, Army of Darkness is 90s. I forgot. Yep.
Lost Highway is like a Lynch film. I mean, it's fantastic, but it's like Lynch horror is a bit different.
I'm skipping past the ones that aren't worth mentioning in case because you're wondering why aren't you reading out all 100? I'm not going to do it. Because some of these aren't even like horror. Like The Devil's Advocate.
Interview with a Vampire. Like that's more of like a drama.
Yeah, but it's got horror elements in it. It's like it's got a vampire in it. From Dusk Till Dawn is borderline an action movie, you know, and also that movie.
Cube is a 90s movie.
Yeah, Cube's solid. But we haven't mentioned much here, notice. Wait,
go up. What was that? The red one. Oh, Lord. I don't know what that is. Never mind.
Lord of Illusions. Nah, that movie's meh. Tales from the Hood, solid.
In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness is good. Exorcist 3 is fucking awesome. These ratings.
There's the faculty.
There's the faculty on the list. So many of these.
H2O.
There's not.
Casper is not a horror movie.
No. I mean, they had to stretch this because the 90s suck.
They're stretching it here.
Tales from the Dark Side, the movie is very good. Yeah, it's very good. It feels like an 80s movie. Species, it's okay. We get some of the better Child's Play entries. Yeah, okay.
I guess Child's Play was.
Demon Knight is a 90s movie.
Ooh,
Demon Knight kicks so much ass. Yeah.
I guess Child's Play was eating big in the 90s. It was probably.
Yep. That was because the second entry is debatably the best. And but this is derivative, man. These are rough.
Final Nightmare?
We're talking Freddy's Dead. Suck my dick. Freddy's Dead. That's one of the best ever made. You're stretching. The 90s was a shit era for horror. It just was. Yeah, it was not a good era. We went through the top 100, and I would say out of that list, 30 of those movies were not horror.
It was a stretch. Yeah, I would say 30 of them are.
And I would say out of that list, 10 of them are actual really good ones. Maybe 15, and then 60 of those are just kind of It's like Leprechaun 3. It's like, oh yeah, that was a great one. Shut the fuck up. Assholes. All right, I got one pick left, and it's the weirdest one on my list, and I have hardly anything to say about it. I just want to mention it because it's weird.
Let's hear it.
I watched I closed my phone, and then I realized I don't know the year. Oh, I watched from 2011, Take Shelter.
Take Shelter.
You've probably never heard of this.
I've never.
Movie.
I don't think so.
Let me bring it up. This stars Michael Shannon. Do you know who Michael Shannon is?
Oh yeah, I know.
Okay, Shannon. Okay, he's good. Yeah. You should. Yeah. Stars Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain.
Okay. They're both pretty big actors.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Both of them are huge. Yeah.
I don't know how big they would have been in 2011, but they're both.
Michael Shannon, I think Boardwalk Empire was at that time. I think he would have been pretty big.
So they would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Michael Shannon's great, and so is Jessica Chastain. Yeah.
So I don't have a ton to say about this movie. It's not a good movie, but I just find it's one of those this is a weird oddity. So it is a indie film with a few good cast members, and when I say a few, I mean a few. There's literally 2 or 3 people in this film that are big actors, decent actors.
Okay.
Everyone else is just no names and just nothing, and there's hardly even a cast. It is a bare bones film. It's about a guy who's a family man in a small community, and he starts having prophetic visions of apocalyptic storms. And the conflict in the film is Michael Shannon doesn't know if he's losing his mind and he is suffering from schizophrenia or something, because it turns out his mom actually had severe mental illness, and I think she's actually in a home.
So Michael Shannon is the one having these visions?
And he's questioning his own sanity, and it's starting to affect him and the people around him, because he starts having these apocalyptic visions of some crazy storm that's going to happen, and he starts becoming more and more obsessed with it, and it starts affecting his relationship with the people around him. People around him are concerned, and they're his wife is like, what,
is Jessica Chastain?
Yes, his wife.
Okay.
And his best friend, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was also in Boardwalk Empire. He's a great actor. He pops up in things. And the idea is the community starts reacting to him like being like, why is he acting so weird? Like, what is with this weird behavior? Like, what is going on here?
Okay.
And even he himself is questioning his own sanity. And then eventually he kind of just gives into it and is like, you know what? Fuck it. I believe my visions might come to fruition, so I'm going to follow through on this.
Okay. I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Does he go to the doctor at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
He gets
okay.
analyzed he gets analyzed, all that shit.
Clean bill of health or something? They're like, there's nothing wrong with you?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I don't remember a ton. It's not. I actually watched the whole thing.
Okay.
The ending was just like, okay. It's a kind of stupid movie. It is.
Why did this get on your list? What made you want to watch this?
Because I was looking up, I think Michael Shannon performances, and then this came on my list. It just was like a bizarre little indie movie he made, and Michael Shannon gives a phenomenal performance in this film. It's just wasted in this nothing movie.
So looking at the poster, it looked like he was like prepping a shelter.
So he films like a doomsday.
Yeah, so he's like
shelter.
a doomsday prepper that's like stocking it full of cans of beans.
But all of his friends and family think he's going nuts.
Yeah,
and the climax of the film is just like his wife finally makes the decision of like, okay, I'm going to stick by my husband. Like, we're in this together. I'm going to stick by him.
What is the nature of the storm that he's worried about or that he's prophesizing? Is it like a flood?
Vague.
Or like a
it's
hurricane
vague.
or something?
It's vague. He sees like winds and things. It's all vague. It's not a good movie. It's honestly not. What shocks me is the film has like a weirdly high rating online. So it's like 7.3 on IMDb.
That's quite good.
And I think it has like a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I got Rotten Tomatoes up here right now. I can quickly just bring this up. Here, let me just type in Tyke Shelter.
Sure. I've never heard of it, but I mean the concept.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it. Cut that in.
Sorry, that's
put in the clip.
I'm not going to do that.
From Red
92% has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I never heard of it.
Oh yeah, we were quoting Red Dawn.
Yeah,
the shitty 80s movie with Patrick Swayze. 92% for this fucking movie. It's not a good film. It's got no budget. It's bare bones. It's not a fun story to watch. It's just, I don't even, honestly, 30-minute rule, I can't tell you why I watched this whole thing. I think
you probably wanted to see what would happen.
I think I was just fascinated of like, this isn't good, but I have to know, like I have to see more of this performance. Like I just wanted more information because there's one notable scene, and you might as well just look it up on YouTube. His acting is phenomenal. Jessica Chastain's really good, and the friend is really good in this. But there's one scene that's so good where Michael Shannon has this outburst at like a community event, and he goes off like a bomb. And he like the entire film, he's very like muted and soft spoken. It's like the reflective, quiet Michael Shannon.
Ned Flanders like breaking down and like freaking out.
Yes. And then all of a sudden at this one family event, he's just like, there's a rapture coming and none of you are prepared. And it's like such a like powerful performance.
Yeah.
And everyone in the town's just like,
holy
it's like it's been building the whole film and then it hits like at the 3/4 mark. But that's it. That's all I got to say. I got nothing to say. It's not worth watching. It's not worth watching.
Okay,
just YouTube the one scene.
Because you say it's not worth watching, I'll ask, how does it end then? Does the storm come or is it all in his head?
It ends with he thinks there's a storm happening and they get in the shelter. And then like he keeps being like, no, the storm's not over. It's not over.
It's not safe to go out.
Yeah.
So they're hunkering down.
Right.
Hiding.
And then Jessica Chastain is like, storm. There's no storm. Like there was a little storm, but it's like a little storm. And then
like a totally normal.
Like it was just like a severe thunderstorm. It wasn't like apocalyptic or anything. And then she convinces him to open the hatch, and then he opens the hatch, and it's like sunny and beautiful out. So then it's like the idea is like they have to trust each other.
Yeah.
And then at the advice of like his doctor's like, you guys should take a family vacation and get away from this for a bit. And then they go on vacation, and then like they're at a resort, and then like Michael Shannon's like looking out at the water, and then like all of a sudden you see these giant cyclones form in the water.
What?
And then Jessica Chastain like walks up beside him and just like looks at him, and she's like, okay. And then it cuts. And I'm like, what is this? What does that mean? I'm like, so it's the end of the world? Like, what is he like? Is that the rapture? Like,
Wait,
it's
okay, as
vague.
Was it a validating okay? Like she was like, okay, you're right, or was she like, are you okay? Like,
no,
okay?
she was more like, okay. No, that was my reaction. That's how I reacted when I saw it, because I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I threw my phone at the television and broke it, and I had to get a new one. Fucking stupid, fucking dumbass movie.
There was a rapture.
Okay.
Okay.
What
about you?
No, literally, she just walked up and I think it's like a reassuring okay, like
like she trusts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or because it very well could have been like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Like
no, I think
this shouldn't be affecting you.
I think she's supposed to be.
This or
I think
like,
she's seeing what he's seeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's stupid. It's dumb. It's not a good movie. Folks, look up on YouTube Michael Shannon Take Shelter scene. You'll find the scene. It'll come up. Yeah. And none of you are prepared for it. There's a podcast coming, which none of you are prepared for.
Okay.
Let's end it there. I got nothing else to say. We talked about some stuff. You want to quickly go through your list, see what you recommend? Here, I'll go first.
Sure.
I'll go first. Sleepy Hollow, 1999. I recommend it. I think it's maybe worth owning. Men in Black, 1997. I mean, I recommend it. It's good. The Menu, I absolutely recommend. Outland, I absolutely recommend. 48 Hours, kiss my ass. Take Shelter, kiss my ass. Up is a masterpiece. That's what I got.
All right. I had Dream Scenario, recommend if it sounds interesting. Saltburn as well, watch it once kind of thing. Same with Dream Scenario, like watch it once, see what you think. The Boy and the Heron, masterpiece.
What was that movie about?
The Faculty, like, I don't know. It's not bad if you're
just a big
interested.
bag of meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was my list. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
That's it, folks. Until next time, thank you for watching. We've got a interesting episode lined up next time. So tuned in to our podcast.
I want some papers to shuffle and like outro, like
where you and I pretend to be talking, right. Where we pretend like we're actual friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. All right.